I hope you guys are ready. Because we're fucking taking the lead today, guys. We're gonna put Wiz in the dirt. Wait, no, that's mean. We're not gonna put him in the dirt. No, that's mean. We're not gonna put him in the dirt. Oh, yeah. You should watch WizVid. I watched it. Yeah, I did watch it. I actually watched that one off stream. It was pretty cool. I liked this video. Yeah, so we're not gonna put him in the dirt. We're just gonna take the lead again. Sorry, I came off a little too strong. We're gonna take the lead in our race. We're gonna see how much we can read in like 4 hours. So if you guys are anticipating that, you guys want to, you know what? It's all right. Scuffed intro. You know who it is. You know what we're here to read. We're here to read Lord of Mysteries. We're here to finish Volume 3 and finish before Wiz. And the race shall continue. You're literally my text-to-speech with a lot of emotion. Hey, man, I'm glad. I'll take that as a compliment, clown man. Well, for now, we are on chapter 703. Thank you, present. Oh, that sounds fun. Wait, quick. No. You're not being rude. No, it's okay. Whoa. Thank you guys to everybody that's been watching. Literally every single time I go live. I know some of you guys can't make it because it's bad for people like on EU time. I know it's like pretty late in the day. Wiz at 7:16. Good luck. Ooh, we'll see how much we can read. All right, that's all right. We'll probably have to come back for another stream. But thank you to everybody that's been a members. We're pretty close to 30. Thank you for everybody that's been watching. Thank you to our beautiful mods. And for now, more Lord of Mysteries, Volume 3. Chapter 703. It's called Thank You, Present. Seeing it, I'm going to put my mic up just so it's already kind of good. Seeing Edwina's gaze warm up, Anderson curled to the sides of his mouth and shook his head with a sigh. You're always so inflexible. That's why you aren't able to become an artist your entire life. After sighing again, he looked at the corpse in the chair. We can't keep watching. We have to do something. Doesn't Syatis wish to find her race? They'd bury her near an elven ruin in Sonia Island. The elven ruins. Yeah. From earlier in this arc. I mean, not from earlier in the volume. Mobet looks like he wants to be with Syatis. We should bury them in the same tomb. Doesn't Frunzira want to read? That's so sad, man. They're just all dead. I was starting to like them. I was like, I wonder how they're gonna like I wonder what their chemistry is gonna be like with the crew, but they were just gone. Doesn't Frunzira want to return to Backland, but his remains to ashes store the ashes in a box and bring it to the city when possible. If time permits it, then someone can look for his descendants. As for Snowman, it's not like if he believes an ancient sun god or the original creator. Who knows if the two are the same? To us, it's the same. There's definitely no way to find the corresponding cathedrals or altars. Therefore, the only thing we can do is bury him beside Grozel. Grozel, he wishes to return to the Giant King's court. That's the city in the myths of legends. There's no way to find it in the real world. However, there are giant ruins in the northern and southern continent. We can bury him there and allow him to have a proper burial. Giant King Court, Backland. Klein listened in silence as he deliberated for a few seconds. Leave the ashes to he's gonna take them. Leave the ashes of Grizel, Snowman, and Frunzira with me. He believed that in the time to come, the City of Silver would manage to reach the Giant King's court. When that happened, he could hand Grizel and Snowman's ashes to Little Sun and allow him to bury the two ancient figures. As for Backland, Klein needed to return it, and it was the final destination of his travels. He could then bring back Frunzira, who had left his hometown for more than 165 years. Edwina added, the Golden Dream often goes to the Sonia Island. I'll hand Syatis's and Mobet's remains. Alright, you'll be in charge of the cremation later. Anderson turned to look at Danitz as he chuckled inside. Look, everyone plays a part in this. There's no need to feel inferior. He had originally imagined that Danitz wouldn't understand his counseling and would glare at him angrily. To his surprise, the well-known pirate's expression turned heavy as he nodded in silence at him. As companions who face the King of the North together, let's choose each other, treat it as though we're inheriting their legacy. Anderson gestured at the shimmering items on the floor. These beyond characteristics definitely have remnant of their psyche. I wonder what kind of influence that would bring, be it concocting it into a potion for consumption or getting an artisan to craft it into an item. There should be something special about them. The former can be digested with the acting method, but nothing can be done after the latter. From the looks of it, you don't know the acting method. Treat it as though I didn't say anything. The last two lines were said to Danitz. Treat it as though I didn't say anything. Klein didn't have the mood to lampoon Anderson. He looked at the four beyond characteristics and said, give Syatis to me. This is the main ingredients of the ocean songster. Edwina thought for a moment before saying, I'll take Snowman's. It corresponded to the Priest of Light, which Klein already had one, hence he didn't choose it. Anderson glanced at the remaining two beyond characteristics as his gaze paused at the strange item that resembled a baby's palm. I have to say that this guy is very interesting. Perhaps it can be made into a mystical item that can talk to me. That way everyone wouldn't be too lonely. At that moment, wow, the music sounds a little bit loud. Let me lower it a bit more. At that moment, the giant's heart didn't have an owner. Klein glanced at Danitz and definitely said, "It's yours." "Mine? I didn't do anything. I didn't participate in the battle." Danitz was extremely surprised. Klein said simply, "You scouted and took on a risk." To Klein, that was a form of compensation. This was because Danitz had chanted the fool's honorific name and knew that Gerben's secret. Therefore, he had to force the faith of the fool on him. Otherwise, it would have only let latent risks. Although this was a risk which Danitz was willing to take, Klein still wished to compensate him. Of course, he hoped that Danitz would view it a bestowment from the fool, and regardless of the exchanging Grizel's beyond characteristics for money, using it to purchase the corresponding formula and ingredients, or making it into a defensive mystical item, all of them would be very useful for Danitz. "Take it," Edwina said as he looked at Danitz. "All right." Danitz nodded after a few seconds of silence. After distributing them, Klein took a few steps forward and bent his back to pick up Cyatus's beyond characteristics. Looking at the azure blue seawater sloshing inside the translucent membrane, he could vaguely hear the elf's beautiful sighs. Just as he stood up, he saw Danitz nodding as though he was responding to a question. However, no one had spoken. Klein swept past Edwina's expression face and suspected the mystical magister was communicating. Oh, there you go. Okay, so it's saying it again. Don't worry, I for sure didn't forget. Edwina's sequence is Mysticism Magister. Was communicating with Danitz in a way that others couldn't hear. Seeing Danitz give an affirmative answer, Edwina reached out to pick up Grizel's travels from the desk and close it. She then handed it to Klein. "This is a token of my gratitude. Without me, all of you would have defeated the Frost Dragon." Klein didn't reach out of his hand as he looked at the book composing of yellowish-brown goatskin. "Now we definitely would have died. We have no way to defend against the king of the North's final frenzy. Besides, you were taking a huge risk entering the book." Edwina was like a teacher, explained to him the reasons in a serious manner. "My only request is that you will teach me the answers if you figure out its origins and principles." Klein was very curious about the secrets hidden in Grizel's travels. He could reject the offer as he reached out of the magical book. Okay, at this moment, the importance of the Giant King's court became more obvious. He even thought of buying the black iron key belonging to the Giant Key that was worth 5,000 pounds while he was at it. However, he didn't immediately make the request to prevent Edwina from thinking that he was trying to fleece her. He prepared to wait for a few more hours, or perhaps tomorrow, before borrowing the key from Vice Admiral Iceberg. He would head above the Grey Fog to divine its worth before offering to purchase it. Seeing Anderson and Danitz pick up the beyond characteristics, Edwina glanced at the darkening sky and said to Klein, "Where are you heading to next?" "Bayam." Klein replied frankly. Edwina nodded. "You can head there of the Golden Dream. We have plenty of rooms." Klein nodded indiscriminately as he agreed. Who wouldn't want a free ride? After dealing with the remains and cleaning up the captain's cabins, Edwina walked to the door and opened it. There were gaps of pleasant surprises as the mood of the corner turned jubilant. "All right, it's fine now." Edwina looked around as a smile formed from her cold expression. The crew cheered loudly, making Anderson stroke his chin and frown. "It's more exaggerated than I imagined." Without a doubt, his words were drowned by ebullient cheers. After everything came to an end, Klein and Anderson left the captain's cabin under the nets and led and headed for the rooms on the same level. Half turning his body to look where they were, Anderson suddenly sighed. "Is that it?" Although we didn't get to know each other for more than half an hour, people who fought alongside you often leave a deep impression, but think they suddenly died in a baffling manner, all of them. Klein was silent for 2 seconds before saying, "This world is filled with baffling deaths to begin with." "That's right," Anderson immediately smiled. "That's why optimism is needed to enjoy life. If I were to face death one day, I'll definitely be composed and cool, not losing my elegance at all. I would face it in the most handsome manner possible. Don't raise flags for yourself." Klein didn't say a word as he entered the room. Danitz opened his mouth. Anderson took the room beside him. In the room, Klein stood at the window as he silently watched the darkening sea for nearly 10 minutes. Then he entered the bathroom, took 4 steps counterclockwise, recited the incantation, and went above the Grey Fog. Sitting at the high-backed chair of the fool, he conjured the world's figure, and he made him make a praying pose. "Honorable Mr. Fool, please inform the sun that I've obtained the Sequence 6 Nordary potion formula he wants. I also have the clues to the Priest of Light formula and main ingredients. He can delay payment by putting it on credit." I thought he said credit card. "By putting it on credit and pay for it in the future." Klein was doing this to prepare for his advancement to Sequence 4. Damn, already. The City of Silver had rich resources, so it was possible that the particular main ingredients or I'm going to lower the volume down. Or difficult supplementary ingredients that were hard to come across would exist over there. Therefore, with him in no rush to get anything, he planned on letting Little Sun owe him. The reason why he didn't say that he had obtained the main ingredients in the potion formula for Priest of Light was because he felt that it was too exaggerated. He planned on telling him once Little Sun was more or less done digesting the potion. After checking the conjuring scene twice, he transmitted it into the Crimson Star, representing the sun as a stream of light. And now we're in Afternoon Town. Having just finished patrolling the periphery of the newly established town, Derek's vision suddenly blurred, and he saw an endless gray fog and an indistinct figure praying inside a dark red glow. Immediately following that, he had heard the world's voice and learned that his notary potion formula had been acquired. Mr. World effectively is really Mr. World's efficiency is really high, and the exact number of days that he promised. Furthermore, he even got clues to the priesthood-like potion formula and main ingredients. Derek felt joy after a moment of alarm. He couldn't help but admire the world, wishing that he would possess similar strength and styles in the future. Above the gray fog, the world made another prayer after Mr. Fool confirmed that there weren't any problems with the Ocean Songster potion formula. Honorable Mr. Fool, please inform Mr. Hangman that I've already obtained the Ocean Songster's potion formula and the corresponding main ingredients. I'll give it to him during the next tarot gathering. Please get him to consider what he would like to provide in exchange. Now, I wonder what he's going to provide. Chapter 704 is called Origins. On an undulating sea inside an ancient and dark sailboat, Alger Wilson stood in the front of a window, considering the report he had to produce when he arrived at Pasu Island. It was at that moment when the endless gray fog and a figure lording over him appeared. He then saw a dark red... Is the music at least hearable, or is it too low? I'll turn it up a little bit more. He then saw a dark red glow and saw a blurry figure resembling the world. He then heard the figure's calm words. After hearing it, Alger's eyes widened. He found it difficult to suppress his joy as strong sense of bewilderment and shock emerged within his heart. He remembered very clearly the world had only promised the son to obtain the notary potion formula within 3 days of the last Tarot Club gathering. He hadn't mentioned anything related to the Ocean Songster potion formula, but in his days, this gentleman had obtained the rare Sequence 5 formula and even its main ingredients. What did he exactly do? Alger muttered suddenly to himself as he couldn't help but recall Gurmitsboro's cold and formidable appearance. He found the mound more and more unfathomable. Is this the advantage of being blessed? Yes, I just received the news yesterday that Gurmitsboro boarded the future last week in the NAS. On the other hand, it proves that Admiral Stars is indeed the hermit, and on the other hand, it means that the world did last week was extremely important. For example, entering those dangerous waters in the eastern front to obtain something. Therefore, he had no choice but to seek the hermit's help. As such, he advanced and became a Sequence 5 powerhouse. This can explain how he obtained the Ocean Songster potion formula and its main ingredients in the span of a few days. Can we get a kick starter for Alger? Bro is too broke right now. What did he do exactly? Don't tell me that he killed someone. Don't worry, guys. I'll set it up for him. Don't worry. I'll set up the Kickstarter for him. Don't tell me that he killed someone from the middle upper echelons of the church. Alger couldn't help but frown. He quickly calmed his heart and focused on another matter. Oh, I scrolled down too much. Although instantly obtaining the formula and main ingredients delighted and excited him, making him feel that becoming a Tarot Club member was a turning point in his life, he still needed to pay for it. Who can I give the world? Alger fell into deep thought, depressed to realize that he didn't have an item or money of equal value. He subconsciously paced about his window. Above the gray fog, the busy world vanished as Klein cast his eyes on Grizel's travels, which he had brought above the gray fog. This book, comprised of yellowish-brown goatskin, was silently placed on a long bronze table. It didn't appear special in any way, appearing so ordinary that not only his fans would notice it. Klein conjured a pen and paper, and he cautiously wrote the first divination statement. This is the Spectator Pathway's uniqueness. The book? He was more worried about this point. It also meant that he couldn't seal the book above the gray fog. It might bring about unexpected accidents, but carrying it with him made it possible for him to be sucked into the book at any time. That would be very problematic. He undid the spare pendulum on his left wrist, composed himself, and attempted a divination. When he opened his eyes, the topaz pendant was spinning counterclockwise, so negative. It was a negative result. From the looks of it, the strange book is in the Spectator Pathway uniqueness. Then there's no need to be afraid. Klein thought for a few seconds before divining if Grizel's travels was the corresponding item of the Spectator Pathway sequence 1 or 2. To his surprise, the divination ended in a failure. A failure? So there's interference? He thought for a long period of time before permitting a new divination statement. Its origins. The reason why Clyde dared to do such a divination was because he knew very well that Spectator's Pathway Sequence 0 had long perished. There was a high chance that the uniqueness was in the hands of the Twilight Hermit Order, therefore the chances of him having to face a real god were negligible. Putting down the pen and holding the paper and book, Klein leaned back into his chair and recited the divination statement as he entered a dream cognition. The gray, hazy world cracked open as the sky turned extremely dark. Also be careful. On Twitter, they're sending big spoilers, even for you. Oh, okay, I'll be careful. They do pop up on my feed, so I'll be careful. It was as though strong winds were stirring the dark clouds. In the dark environment, a silver light appeared first along the horizon as it grew bigger and clearer. It was a floating continent. It was a huge continent that couldn't hold several cities. The continent's periphery was grayish white in color. Huge boulders revealed their outlines, and above them there were dozens of erect 100-meter-tall stone columns. They either stood independently or propped up magnificent ancient palaces. Dragons of different colors, grayish, white, scaled, scarlet, red, yellowish, brown, as well as some made of ice, were flying over the continent, and the one-of-a-kind city. At times they would land on a stone column, and rest as they overlooked the land. At other times, they would enter the opulent palace and vanish from Klein's sight. Ooh, I'll be careful. Yeah, I'll be careful. I won't follow them. I don't follow them, but they have been popping up on my feed when Ultimate World was posting like all the Nunqua news. So they were popping up on my feed at that time. Among them, the smallest one was about the size of King of the North Wuzlan. The biggest spanned 100 meters. The scene quickly zoomed in as a palace with a height of over 200 meters occupied Klein's vision. Its interior had stone columns erect propping up the dome. The space was so large that it allowed any dragon to move freely within. The camera kept moving inward as soon Klein saw a book made of a yellowish-brown goatskin. Its cover was blank as it floated. It floated in mid-air. Composed to its surroundings, it was amazingly small. The quill also floats in mid-air. So maybe this shit is like a grade 0 sealed artifact. Because I remember the quill will float on its own when it writes independently. So now this is doing the same thing where I know it's not writing, but it's floating. Right behind the book, a large shadow appeared. Just as the shadow silhouettes was outlined, Klein felt as though Klein felt his thoughts instantly explode. His eyes spewed out with blood, and his ears were left with 2 black holes. His mouth and nostrils had white matter stained with blood spewing out from them. The mysterious space above the gray fog gently trembled as it pacified everything. Klein quickly recovered. Ugh, so gross. Klein quickly recovered as he gritted his teeth and rubbed his head. It hurts. It freaking hurts. It's in no way inferior to the eternal blazing sun. I didn't even discern his looks or gain any knowledge. Was he the dragon of imagination, Enkweld? Was he the dragon of imagination, Enkweld? A balloon can float? That is true. Well, if dragons can fly, holy shit, Audrey is gonna fucking fly. Holy shit. Audrey is gonna fly when she becomes a dragon or when she becomes a spectator. Let me read from here. Was he the dragon of imagination, Enkweld? According to Little Sun's information, he had perished at the end of the second epoch. After so many epochs spanning 2 to 3 millennia, just prying into the mystery was enough to put me in such a sorry state. If not for the Gray Fox screening and assistance, it would have died immediately. This mark is way too powerful, isn't it? There's no way of comparing them. Its damage is inferior to the previous encounter with the Eternal Blazing Sun, but one had died long ago. With the other still alive, it just begs the question if ancient gods are stronger than real gods of the present day. Using nearly a minute to recover his pain, Klein recast his gaze on Grizel's travels. He tapped the model table, then edged and muttered silently, "This book's author is Dragon of The fuck? He was the author? This book's author is Dragon of Imagination, Enkweld. What the fuck? A book written by ancient god, a storybook that can automatically deduce the ending? What is his goal? When this book was formed, the Dragon of Imagination likely had encountered the ancient god and was fine. After all, it would take some time to go from the City of Miracles, live Sied, in the Giant King's Court, and before Grizel was swallowed by the book, the Giant King's Court was clearly still in existence. Just a prank. A toy used to kill his boredom, of course, or could it be that the Dragon of Imagination had foreseen some of the future? He specifically created this book to leave behind a chance for himself of the dragons to resurrect. However, he underestimated the ancient sun god's might and he completely perished. It made the book unusable for Melania, so all it could do was naturally absorb the characteristics into it to play out a story. Klein made some guesses, but he wasn't able to verify them. After some consideration, he thought of finding a chance to enter the book and search for clues. In the future, I can enter as a spirit body above the gray fog. Once I encounter any trouble, I'll immediately return. Such a good hack. You just go in your spirit form and then you can just go back. Yes, I'll make the attempt after I'm no longer with Edwina and Anderson. I have to be careful and cautious. Klein nodded as he divined if leaving Grizel's travels above the great fog would bring an undecidable changes to mysterious space, but he was met with failure again. As for the reason, he actually knew why. This was a place that transcended the spirit world. Divining about matters involving this era naturally failed if attempts were made to obtain revelations from the spirit world. Since it's not part of the spirit world, of course, you're not going to get results. Got it. After deciding to frequently After deciding to frequently come above the Great Fog to take a look at so as to prevent any accidents, climbed through Grizel's travels into the junk pile. He then waved his hand, summoned a golden wine cup that he had been partly flattened. This cup had complicated patterns engraved on it with the elvish phrase Calamity and Kokinim. Apart from that, there wasn't anything special. With it in his hand, Klein silently rubbed it for a few seconds. Knock, knock, knock. Klein politely knocked on the door to the captain's cabin. Is there something Edwina left? Is there something? Edwina, who had let down her hair, looked at Gurmitspar and asked. Klein handed over the Elf Queen's golden wine cup. Put this in Sayata's tomb. All right. Edwina fell silent for 2 seconds before nodding and receiving it. She habitually studied the engravings and symbols on the cup before withdrawing her gaze in embarrassment. She then looked out the window and said, "They'll be organizing a bonfire party. Will you be participating?" No. Klein shook his head. Aw. I understand. I don't plan on participating either. Not everyone is like Anderson, who can quickly raise his spirits. Edwina said with pursed lips. Actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Klein was momentarily at a loss for a response. And apart from giving lessons, Edwina wasn't good at socializing. Immediately, the two of them fell silent. About 10 seconds later, Klein silently inhaled and broke the silence. Are you selling that key that originates from the giants? Yes. Edwina thought about it before glancing at her collector's room. She added, I can lend it to you for studying. You can decide whether to buy it before leaving the ship. Okay. Wait, let me make sure this is updated. But yeah, like, hands down, Romero, the one thing I really love about LOTM, every volume has been so different from every volume is so different. Like, there hasn't been, like, the story has, like, for a series that's like 1,000+ chapters, I feel like you eventually come to a point where, like, a series can be, like, okay, stale is a strong word, but I feel like you can come to a point in time where, like, when you've been reading for something so long, you find it's its habits, right? Like, you've been reading something for this, like, like the series can find, like, its comfort zone, and it just stays, and it's only bound to, like, that one genre or whatever. But not this series. This series, and I'm not saying that's what other series do. Like, you know, we like what we like, right? I'm not trying to be positively toxic, but I like how every volume is so different, and it's always doing something new, and it's always fresh and unique, right? Like, sure, it can take, like, ideas from other series, and he can, like, mix and match them. And the fact that, like, Klein can, like, keep changing his persona and identity, he can just do, like, new personas and, like, new, like, I love it. It's so different from each other. And then even, like, the whole power system, everything is so different. Like, you never run into, like, identical characters. Like, we understand what you mean. Like, I love it, dude. Volume 4 ending gonna be peak. Dude, man, I have not read one bad ending. All of them have been peak. Finish volume 6 today. Let's go. We'll see what happens. Chapter 705 is called The Mythical Creature. You didn't even need me to mention it. I was still a little embarrassed to raise the subject. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. After considering Gurmitspurl's persona, he calmly said, I do not need to take advantage of others. Just as he said that, he felt a little regretful. He was afraid that Vice Admiral Iceberg would really change her mind. Edwina's light blue eyes moved silently as she said, the only condition is that you have to tell me the answer to anything you figure out. Phew, Klein didn't harp on the issue as he nodded. Okay. About a minute later, he carried the iron black key to the size of a heptacord, and at that moment, there was a series of fervent singings from the deck. Your eyes are so memorized that it feels like the light from a dawn. When night comes and the sun has gone down, I almost start feeling melancholy, fervently awaiting your light. Let me read this. About a minute later, he carried an iron black key the size of a heptacord, and at that moment, there was a series of fevering singing. Oh, people are singing. Okay, it's the singing. Okay, I thought, like, the key was speaking, like the key was singing. No, it's the people singing from the bonfire. All right. Your eyes are so mesmerizing that it feels like the light from dawn. When the night comes and the sun has gone down, I almost start feeling melancholy, fervently awaiting your light. Oh, your eyes are so mesmerizing that it feels like the light from dawn. Klein subconsciously went to the wind and looked out. He then saw the bonfire had already been lit. Yo, thank you, Romero. You have to sing this part. It's the thing of volume. Dude, what is volume 4 gonna be like? I think volume 4 is gonna go the fantasy route. Like, I think volume 4 is where Klein makes his journey to Hornicus mountain range. And since he's gonna be going through that whole mountaintop in a whole new region and like a whole new, like, area he's never been part of. New identity, he's gonna be like, I think he's like, rather than being a traveler, an explorer this volume, or a hunter, he's gonna be an adventurer volume 4. That's what I'm thinking. He's gonna become a beggar. No, I don't think he's gonna become a beggar. I I like Klein role-playing as German's bro. His inner reactions compared to his outer. Yeah, it's cool. It's like there's parts where he's like, oh wait, this isn't what German would act like. Hold up. And I love it. I think Volume 4 is gonna be like the fantasy-esque adventurer arc. So no spoiler, guys. Okay, we'll try to not do spoilers, but that's what I can see happening. Like he has to go to Hornica's mountain range, and like he takes on like this adventurer persona. Klein subconsciously went to the window and looked out. He then saw the bonfire that had already been lit, and the Golden Dreams crew that had nothing to do on their hands were gathered around. They were either singing. Well, you know what? This song is very fitting. I feel like this song is very fitting for everybody singing at the bonfire. Isn't this the adventure arc? I feel like this would be the. Yeah, I guess. But like now, like we did a pirate adventure arc. Like this was the Pirates of the Caribbean mystical arc. Now we gotta do like the free rent adventure arc, where like they're just exploring the world, you know, like on foot. Klein subconsciously went to the window and looked out. He then saw the bonfire had already been lit, and the Golden Dreams crew had nothing to do on their hands. Were gathered around here. They were either roasting meat or fish as they guzzled beer. Otherwise, they would be dancing a rather random but lively dance alongside singer Orpheus's singing. It was a very merry atmosphere. The oily roasted exuded a tantalizing aroma that wafted upwards. Klein saw that Anderson was almost among the pirates, drinking in high spirits and eating happily. From time to time, he would shout a few words and say a joke, as though he was already a member of the Golden Dream. He was no longer ostracized like before. Instead, the Danitz didn't appear among them. At the very least, Klein didn't see him near the iron skin or the barrel. It's sad. As long as he didn't provoke others, Anderson is rather good at socializing. This might be the intelligence gathering powers of a conspirer. Anderson is rather good at socializing. This might be the intelligence gathering powers of a conspirer. Yes, he might have transferred the hatred onto me. I wonder if Danitz will work hard after what happened. If he can improve himself and acquire greater strength, then as the fool, I would have only have myself as a subordinate. I don't have to always appear as a trinity. This secret existence is mine finally. The secret existence of mine finally has a real believer, someone I can directly order to do things, even though it's only limited to the Danitz. I have to say, it's still quite pathetic. Oh, shit, I got a tear in my eye. Damn, dude. This is such a good arc. As Klein reflected over the matter, he prepared a ritual to sacrifice the giant keys above the Great Fog. At that moment, his spiritual perception was triggered as he instinctively activated his spirit vision and looked to the side. White bones were thrown up as they materialized into the messenger with black flames in its eye sockets. Half of my messenger's body was in the lower deck, so it was nearly on the level of a German spur without tearing through the ceiling. However, the palm holding the letter remained huge, as though it could easily wrap it around Klein's head. Mr. Zick was quite quickly to reply this time. As Klein politely nodded, he received the letter and unfolded it. Just as he was about to read its contents, he suddenly realized the skeleton messenger remained standing there. It didn't vanish once it delivered the letter. Is there something? Klein asked in surprise. Just as he said that, an idea flashed through his mind and he quickly added, if there's a need to reply, then I will summon you again. The skeletal messenger's huge head nodded as its body collapsed like a waterfall before returning to the underworld. Ma'am Renette previously waited for me to give a reply, same as for the skeletal messenger. This time, is this some kind of new regulation the messenger's world have enacted? Phew. There's no such thing as a messenger world. They're all individually summoned, and most messengers are just doing it part-time. Yes, the skeletal messenger gave me agreed feelings. Klein shook his head without much thought before focusing his attention on Mr. Zick's letter. To put simply, attaining the godhood... Oh, now it's really loud. Now it's Danitz. To put simply, attaining godhood begins for the moment one advances to secret... Well, wait. Yes, the skeletal messengers gave me an agreed feeling. Klein shook his head without much thought before focusing his attention on Mr. Zick's letter. To put it simply, attaining godhood begins for the moment one advances to sequence 4. It's a slow process of evolution towards a mythical creature. A mythical creature. This process comes to an end at sequence 2. So 4, 3, 2. Therefore, there's a qualitative difference between an angel and a saint. In ancient times, the former are even called subsidiary gods. Damn. Oh my god, here we go. Every demigod includes saints. Wait, every demigod including saints and angels have their own mythical state. Like they have like a mythical beast form? Have their own mythical state. This is a non-human forge, which is a potpourri of complex knowledge, godhood characteristics, and secret symbols. Ordinary people will suffer tremendous damage oh, don't look directly at God. Okay, so that's how it starts. Once you're in this form, ordinary people will suffer tremendous damage from a simple glance to the point of losing their minds. And as the demigod grows in strength, the damage only grows the more potent and irresistible. Therefore, creatures at this level have to constantly control themselves to not expose this form, or just from their very existence alone. No, I'm not gonna forget this. Don't worry. Once we finish Volume 3, I'm going to take notes on everything. It can bring about a what the fuck? Wait, therefore, creatures at this level have to constantly control themselves to not expose this form, or just from their very existence alone. It can bring about a catastrophe. Oh my god, I can't read. To their surroundings. To demigods, I thought like the whole don't look directly at God is like once you hit sequence 0. But I guess it starts once you're in this like non-mythical state form, non-human mythical state form. To demigods, one of the main traits of losing control is losing reason. When that happens, they will no longer be able to retain their mythical creature form. Oh! That's why... Oh, what the fuck? That's why all the orthodox... Oh, what the fuck? All the orthodox gods are in... They're in that state. So all of them have actually lost fucking control, and that's why they haven't descended, like, because they said after the 4th epoch, they stopped descending the world. The reason they all stopped descending was because they all lost their reasoning and lost control. Like, they all gave in to this mythical creature state. And that's why, that's why in the fucking very first trailer... In the very first fucking trailer for the manhwa, if I'm a fucking... No, I won't pull it up. You fucking know it and I fucking know it. And the very first fucking trailer of Lord of Mysteries Dunhwa, when it shows the boat and you see the 7 orthodox, they didn't look like fucking humans. They all look like weird abominations and whatnot. So that was all them and their mythical... That is crazy. That's so wild. What the fuck? Now, why the fuck are they all twisted? Holy shit. I genuinely believe the ancient sun god, or like the true creator, is the lesser evil. Holy fucking shit. Unironically, I believe he's the lesser evil. I genuinely believe he's the lesser evil that's holding everybody back. Like, and if it's not him, it I feel like the lesser evils in this series now have to either be Ancient Sun God, True Creator, Adam, or Amon. One of those 4 people are going to be like the lesser evils of this series. And like they're doing all this for the greater sake. My lord is speak. To demigods, one of the main traits of losing control is losing reason. That's why they all look like that. They're all in their mythical state. When that happens, they will no longer be able to retain their mythical creature form. Okay, hold up. I'm not trying to like cross reference other series, but the one cool thing about One Piece, some specific devil fruits, they have like their mythical form, right? Like they have like that mythical form. And I feel like this, it's cool. Like now, like, yes, they're gonna look different. Like now I can imagine Audrey being in like her dragon mythical form, and then she starts flying like an actual dragon or some crazy shit. And then that's like the easiest hack, where you can just digest your potion by spectating all of Backland from the skies. However, a saint mythical form isn't complete. There are clear characteristics of their original race. Strictly speaking, one is a true mythical creature after they reach sequence 2. He read Totally's message. Who's totally. Imagine watching the anime and you actually just die for real when you witness the mythical forms. He's like, ugh. We're like, we just pass out. And like we can't look at that. I wonder if the blood that Mam Hermit wants is the blood of a mythical creature, is the true sense of the phase, or is the criteria can be relaxed. That'd be such funny. Huh? I wonder the placenta. What? I wonder if the placenta blood from Will Osterton's birth counts. He is a sequence 1 snake of fate as an absolute mythical creature, just not in the correct form. I'll accumulate more matters before writing it on the paper. Oh, so the white snake he saw was that Snake of Mercury's mythical form. Oh, is Susie mythical form? Is she gonna be like a dragon dog? Yeah, she's gonna be like a dragon. She's gonna be like a dog with like dragon wings, just flying like wee. Oh shit. Oh shit. So that's why the Snake of Mercury looked like that. That's like now. Okay, I guess that makes more sense. Like they hit like their mythical forms. Ollie killed me more matters before riding on the paper crane to ask him, yeah, there are only 2 more times, so I need to do it for a serious matters. However, I'll be returning to the backland soon. With this in mind, Klein silently calculated when Will Ossipton will be born. He didn't make an accurate recollection, but based on his impressions, Will Ossipton had been conceived last November and was currently only the middle of April. Therefore, he will be born in July. Perhaps earlier, Klein thought without great certainty. After all, he didn't have a girlfriend or a wife in his previous life, much less having a child. He quickly threw those thoughts into the back of his mind and began setting up the ritual. He sacrificed the giant's key to himself. The reason why he didn't use his spirit body was to carry it, or simply because it was too heavy. Soon he arrived above the gray fog. He made the iron black key fly onto the surface of the bronze table as he seriously inspected it a few times. After confirming that there wasn't anything abnormally about it, he conjured a pen and paper and wrote the divination statement. The place this key corresponds to, Hornicus Flagera. Soon he arrived above the great fog. He made the iron black key on the surface of the bronze table as he serially inspected that. Oh, wait, the place that corresponds to corresponds to. With the paper in hand and his arm around the key, it's gonna be that maggot-covered throne that we've been seeing since Volume 1. With the paper in hand and his arms around the key, Klein leaned back in his chair and fell asleep while chanting. This time, the gray, hazy world first presented a distorted, translucent scene. As the scene zoomed in, he immediately appeared before a 10-meter tall door. The door was mainly gray and blue in color. On its sides were various engraved symbols, labeled in patterns. They were stately and mysterious. The light of the dusk shone over faintly, dyeing the door with a clear sense of decline. It was like the daylight was gone from the world with only eternal eventide replaced it. Right on the heels of that, Klein noticed that the opening in the door left side at a height of 3 to 4 meters. There was a pitch black socket which was equivalent to an adult's fist. The scene quickly shattered as Klein opened his eyes. A door similar to the black cloister but of a different color. That light of dusk, my interpretation is that it represents a particular door of the Giant King's court. Yes, the first distorted translucent scene should be the barrier between the forsaken lands of gods and the outside world. Therefore, without the gray mist eliminating interference, there's no way to see the scene via divination because of the barrier. The barrier between the two worlds? Klein tapped on the edge of the model table as he made judgment. He had already decided about the giant's key. After going through the hassles of bringing 5,000 pounds in cash back to the real world, Klein tidied the items on the table and held a thick stack of cash. He left his room once again and walked to the captain's cabin. He, as a desired apostle, Kirchie's bounty is equivalent to a key of 1,000 pounds. Klein glanced at the cash in his hand as he knocked on Vice Admiral Iceberg's door again. With a crack, Edwina appeared by the door. When she saw him holding the cash, her brows twitched as she widened her eyes. She said with a bright expression, "You have results." Klein tersely acknowledged, "I already obtained the results. That is likely related to the Giant King's court." The Giant King's court, as spoken in myths. Edwina's eyes lit up as she asked. Klein gently nodded in affirmation. That key is at a... It's a big-ass key. That's why it's so heavy. I remember originally, I'm like, it's like a little key. No. It's a fucking giant key. Edwina's eyes lit up as she asked. Klein gently nodded in affirmation. Edwina's lips quivered as though she wished to inquire further, but ultimately she didn't say a word. She took the 5,000 pounds of cash. She turned to the back of the rows of the bookshelves in the captain's cabin and fell silent. She finally said to Klein a second later, "If you're interested in the books, you can borrow them any time in the day. My only request is that Klein secretly predicted what Vice Admiral Iceberg was about to say. My only request is you can talk to me about the history whenever you're free." Edwina paused before she added, where her eyes appeared bright. It's cool, how much she wants to learn about the world. Klein chuckled inwardly and said after some thought, "All right, but I will not answer every question." Meanwhile, he silently cried inwardly. Let's hope Vice Admiral Iceberg's collection has methods to create higher level charms. No problem. The corner of Edwina's mouth twitched as her expression became livelier. "See you tomorrow." Klein took off his hat. Damn, Edwina's falling for him, man. Imperial measurement systems on top. Caca! The bald eagle. Come on, man. You're gonna get people mad at me for saying that. Dude, it's like, in a chapter ago, a chapter ago, Edwina said like, "Oh, she's very awkward, right? Like she's very antisocial or whatever." But look, now with German, not when they're talking. She's over here chuckling, like she's smiling. No problem. The corner of Edwina's mouth twitched as her expression became livelier. See you tomorrow. Klein took off his hat and pressed down on his chest as he bowed to bid farewell. Edwina also seriously returned to the pleasantries. See you tomorrow. Backland, Irongate Street. Outside Braveheart's bar, Emlyn White got off the carriage, pushed up. Damn, we haven't seen Emlyn in a cool minute, dude. Emlyn White got off the carriage to observe Leonard. Emlyn White got off the carriage, pushed open the wooden door, and walked in. He was then triggered by the mixture of smells inside as he pinched his nose in concept. He hadn't made such progress in the competition to hunt the primordial moon believers. Therefore, he planned on heading to Braveheart's bar, which Sherlock Moriarty often mentioned. He was there to find the rather informed black market arms dealer, Ian. Oh, look, we haven't seen Ian in so long, dude. We haven't seen Ian or haven't heard of him since, like, the ending of Volume 2. The latter's name was acquired by Emlyn through other means. Wait, what does that mean? Adapted? What was... Oh, wait, there's a translation note right here. Adapted from O Sol Mio? Mio? Like, is that a person's name? I didn't understand that. Okay. Well, next chapter. Chapter 706. Yes, today the stalling... No. The stalling was justified today. Chapter 706 is called That Man. Turning his body to the side, Emlyn avoided a bulldozing drunkard while swatting his clothes with a frown. He continued jolting towards the bar counter. During this process, he didn't seem to do anything, but the surrounding customers would always fail to touch him, be it in terms of speed, agility, or the balance and coordination. He had reached a rather terrifying level. Finally, Emlyn arrived at the bar counter as he wrapped the wooden counter. I'm gonna lower the volume. During this process, he didn't seem to be doing anything, but the surrounding customers would... Oh my god, the music is way too loud for me sometimes. And it throws me off when I can't hear my own... Like, when I can't hear my own, like, thoughts. Shaking my head. Why are you guys saying SMH? During this process, he didn't seem to do anything, but the surrounding customers... Wow, I'm so out of it. It's way too early. It's way too early in the day for me to be out of it. During this process, he didn't seem to do anything, but the surrounding customers would always fail to touch him, be it in terms of speed, agility, or the balance or coordination. He had reached a rather terrifying level. Finally, Emlyn arrived at the bar counter as he wrapped the wooden counter. Where am I? Oh, where's Ian? The bartender glanced at him. Without a word, he kept his head low and wiped his glass cup. Emlyn stood there in surprise, wondering if he had done something wrong and earned him nothing. This angered him a little as he wished to reach out and yank the bartender out. However, he believed that such acts were lacking as a gentleman. He forcefully held down his emotions and looked around and discovered that everyone was drinking. Without a thought, Emlyn experimented by saying a cup of the Armir red wine. The bartender's actions paused as he looked up and gave the handsome black-haired, red-eyed man an odd look. We don't have that available. This is the finest red wine in the world. The price was staggering. Emlyn wasn't dumb, and he could tell that from the bartender's eyes, one had ordered something he shouldn't have. On careful thought, he said 1 glass of Salval beer. 5 pence. The bartender finally lowered the cup in the cloths. Emlyn took out a 1 solely note and said, keeping that change. Thank you. The bartender pointed left and said, Ian is in card room 1. Emlyn immediately smiled, feeling happy and proud that he had resolved an actual problem. He didn't take a cup of Salval beer and instead turned around and walked straight to card room 1. Knock, knock, knock. He politely knocked on the door. Please come in. A rather adolescent voice sounded. Emlyn adjusted his collar and pushed open the door, only to realize that this scene inside was unlike what he had expected. He believed that since it was a card room, there would be a bunch of people surrounding a long table playing games like Texas, but to his surprise, there was indeed about 8 people. I wonder if it's Marek's zombies playing. There were indeed about 8 people, but there weren't any poker cards. A piece of paper was placed in front of every participant as they seemed to be recording something. Apart from that, there were only fountain pens and multi-faced dice on the table. Emlyn instinctively cast his gaze on the youngest person inside. It was similarly a handsome boy with red eyes. He looked about 16. Ian, Emlyn asked. Ian nodded with a smile. That's me, sir. Is there something I can help you with, or do you wish to join our game? Game? Emlyn stared. Emlyn returned with a question. Ian chuckled. Yes, game. I don't enjoy playing cards or billiards, but something needs to be done when spending the whole day here. I gained some inspiration from Emperor Rizzo's biography. It is to organize a few people to sit down and attempt a tabletop adventure. A tabletop? They're playing D&D now, or what? In this game, as long as you abide by the rules, you can be anyone: a doctor adventurer who loves eating vegetables, a private detective who always carries a wrench and pipe, or an adventurer who enjoys radical ideas. Together, I wonder if this is teasing a future arc. Or an adventurer. You see, there you go. Maybe Volume is an adventurer. Together, they can head to some ancient castle and seek out the history hidden within. Literally, Klein has to go to like an abandoned castle and Hordicus Flagera. Look at that. And seek out the history hidden within, and he's going to find the history hidden within. I see what Cuttlefish is writing here. Battling all kinds of monsters along the way. What did I say about an adventure arc, Volume 4? He's going to be fighting creatures along the way. All right. Sounds a little interesting. It's going to be a good Volume 4. Emlyn had a feeling that this game suited him well. Huh? Do you want to join? We're currently embroiled in a ploy and are facing a powerful ancient vampire. Emlyn does not want to play this. He's like, what? We're killing vampires? He appears to have a handsome face. He's beneath his skin and a brows formed from his boiling blood. Ian warmly invited him. Sanguine, thank you very much. Emlyn's expression twisted indescribably as he directly said, I have a mission for you. All right, let's go to the room next door. Ian took out his round hat and old statue and stood up. The billiard room next door had no one in it. The boy closed the door with great familiarity as he surveyed the area before looking at Emlyn. Sir, I don't know you. Might I know who introduced you? Emlyn lifted his chin and smiled. Sherlock Moriarty. He's back! What? The billiard room next door had no one in it. The boy closed the door with great familiarity as he surveyed the area before looking at Emlyn. Sir, I don't know. Oh, I'm stupid. Who introduced you? Wow. Sorry, I fucked up. I thought he just appeared there. My bad. Sir, I don't know you. Might I know who introduced you? Emlyn. Ah, bro. That's so funny. Yeah, dude, this is the first time they said Sherlock Moriarty in so long. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, for a second, I thought maybe he summoned the world, because now since he's the fuck you mean he's back? I was like, maybe he summoned the world as a marionette. Yes, he's back in spirit, okay? Thank you, love. He's back in spirit. Negative reading. No, not negative. Positively reading, okay? He is not reading. No, I am. That was engagement big. I just want to make chat a little active. It's okay. Like, it worked. Sir, I don't know you. Might I know who introduced you? Emlyn lifted his chin and smiled. Sherlock Moriarty. Just as he said that, he suddenly looked left and right as he raised his hand to pinch his nose. Like, what? So as Detective Moriarty, Eden heaved a sigh of relief without hiding it. I'm sure then. By the way, didn't he go on vacation to Desi Bay? When will he back? Emlyn lowered his right hand as he said without a change of expression, he isn't back yet. I've been to his rented apartment. To be frank, a normal vacation should have ended at the end of May. It's already April. Could it be that something happened to him? Ian asked squarely. Emlyn recalled the powers. Yeah, he said he was going to be gone for like a week or two, dude. It's been months. Emlyn recalled the powers and the mysteriousness which Sherlock Moriarty presented as he shook his head. Perhaps he's caught up in the complicated case. Ian didn't speak any further as he asked, how may I address you? What mission do you have? You can call me Mr. White. Ooh, okay. Emlyn took out a piece of paper that resembled a bounty notice. Help me find 5 people. Ian received it and carefully flipped through it for a while. 20 pounds for an effective clue, 150 pounds for an exact location. Is that acceptable? No problem. Emlyn felt the price was just too cheap. Compared to this, the prices seen at the Terry Club were way more exaggerated. Ian folded the piece of paper and said, Mr. White, how do I contact you if I have any clues? South of the bridge, Harvest Church. Emlyn had already thought of the answer. Upon hearing that, Ian gave him an odd look. You're a believer of the Earth Mother. That's rare in Backland. I'm not. Emlyn firmly shook his head. I'm only doing volunteer work over there. Without waiting for Ian to speak out, he asked, how did you inherit those red eyes? About that. This was something he had wished to ask when he first saw Ian. This was because red eyes were a trademark characteristic of Sanguines in ancient times. However, there was a long period of time where humans and Sanguines copulated in the 4th epoch. They were all residents of an empire, hence, with a widespread fellowship, many descendants were produced, and then they have the red eye characteristic. There was an increasing number of red eye mixed bloods as they passed down their genes, becoming an uncommon color for humans. To put it simply, every red-eyed human had a Sanguine ancestor. Ian replied to my surprise, oh, my father. I have no idea how much further up the family tree as I was a vagabond. I'm sorry, was his dad the vagabond that was introduced in Volume 2? In Volume 2, there were 2 scenes with a vagabond. Remember, the queen of the translucent empire was a vampire queen, blood moon queen, the full title was Blood Moon Queen, and I forgot what was that part. How do you pronounce it? Arnia? Nah? Huh? As I was, well, in volume 2, there was a vagabond. He's like, when I was younger, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, maybe this vagabond is going to be important. Okay, thank you for reminding me, Romero. Don't worry. When I finish this, you know what? Hold up, let me quick pause. From the looks of it, he isn't connected to the Sanguine. Emlyn handed over a 20-pound deposit, feeling somewhat disappointed before turning to leave the billiard room. After he left, Ian didn't immediately return to the card room. Instead, he closed the door and said into the air, Detective Moriarty hasn't returned to Backland. I'm a little worried about him. A figure suddenly appeared in the billiard room. He had a pale face with exquisite features while wearing a black bonnet, dressed in a... Is it Sharon? Today plus minus 3 days? Exactly. Thank you. That's what today means. We'll finish volume today. Today plus minus 3 days. Today to Sunday-ish, you know? I already know who this is. This is Sharon. A figure suddenly appeared in the billiard room. She had a pale face with exquisite features while wearing a black bonnet, dressed in a black gothic regal dress. She was none other than Rafe Sharon. I ship this. He's doing fine. Sharon replied without any perturbation in her tone. Her figure dematerialized before vanishing. You always say the same thing. Don't tell me that you've always been in contact with Detective Moriarty. Ian mumbled softly as he picked up newspapers in the corner of the billiard room. Placed on it was the Tussock Times, and beneath it was the news at sea. The latter was mainly used to report the situation of different colonies of the Lowen Kingdom and matters at sea, but due to technological restrictions, the news at the sea that was reached Backland was severely outdated. It wasn't of much use to people who needed it, so subscription numbers were low and the business was floundering. Later was a suggestion from a new chief edition. The newspaper style was changed. It had more rumors out at sea, as well as sorts of strange matters revolving pirates and adventures. It appeared more like stories rather than actual news reports. To people's surprise, this change in style was welcome, as it involved ghosts, spectators, sea monsters, and treasures. It became a semi-literate people prime's choice to flaunt their knowledge to the illiterate at the various bars. After all, although the stories seemed fake, they were sufficiently interesting. Ian casually flipped through the newspapers without finding any content of interest. He only had a deep impression on the reports and the news at sea. According to our correspondent, on the night of on March 25th, the King of Immortality fleet attacked a ship heading for the east, bombed to the face-sick, and plundered all its goods and money. And living up to this title, Slaughter Kirchies finished a bloody massacre. These pirates are really preposterous. Ian shook his head and lowered the newspapers. He returned to the card room and continued his game. If only he read something on Gurman. Outside the bar, Emlyn boarded a carriage and leaned into the carriage as he watched the street lamps move past him. He pinched his nose again and suddenly muttered, "A Rafe!" The arms dealer... He's like, what the fuck was that actually, Rafe? This arms dealer sure was resourceful. Not bad. Emlyn cooled his eyes as he felt more hopeful about his entrusted mission. The sunlight shone in from outside, dyeing the captain's cabin golden. Edwina sat in a chair with a book in his hand as she looked opposite her. So you are a believer the Solomon, Turnstead, and Tudor empires all coexist. This is a necessary condition for the War of the Four Empires. Klein simply replied. He held his book title, Book of the Three Worlds? Wait. This is new lore. Let me reread this. Hold up. Let me reread the POV change. The sunlight shone in from the outside, dyeing in the captain's cabin gold. Edwina sat on the chair with a book in her hand as she looked opposite of her. So you also believe that the Solomon, Turnstead, and the Tudors empires all coexist? Yes. This is a few chapters. It was real that they were in. Yeah, what's up, dude? Thank you for joining. They did reveal that they weren't actually at odds and they were like a team. And I remember you guys did mention that and like why. So you are a believer that Solomon, Turnstead, and Tudor empires all coexisted. This is a necessary condition for the War of the Four Emperors. Klein simply replied. It's a study date. He held a book titled Book of the Three Worlds. It originated from a Life School of Thought member before it landed in Vice Admiral Iceberg's hand. It described the material world, the spirit world, and the world beyond rationally, and includes some information on charms with rather profound parts. Klein was seriously reading the information in a bid to better the use of the Sea God Scepter and the Worm of Time. Klein had actually discovered that the books collected by Vice Admiral Iceberg were various ancient texts that were rather unsystematic. This was quite different from the characteristics of the Church of God of Knowledge and Wisdom, which backed her. Therefore, he guessed that the internal orthodox semantic mystical knowledge of the Church was not public. He guessed that the internal orthodox systematic mystical knowledge of the Church was not public. Like the fucking Orthodox gods losing control and being in their mythical forms. That's also not public. Edwina was just about to ask him when she suddenly realized that the Golden Dream's cruising speed gradually dropped. Oh, we're home. She looked out the window. After a few looks, and said crisply, "We've arrived at Bayham." Oh, and this is where they part. This is where she parts with Gurman, and then this is where she confesses her love for him, and then that's where we get the badass picture of Gurman with all three baddies. Oh. All right, chapter 707 is called Danitz Requests. We've reached Bayham. Klein stood up upon hearing that and looked out. He saw a familiar residence private harbor. He didn't show his surprise as he commented calmly, faster than I expected. It was 3 hours faster than he had expected. It's faster than I expected as well. Edwina looked away and agreed with she wanted to spend more time with him. Agreed with German Sparrow. However, these are all the unimportant details. Klein lowered his head, pretending as though he was browsing through the rest of the Book of the Three Worlds. He then handed it to Vice Admiral Asperg. That marks the end of the discussion. Edwina looked at the book in silence. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She reached for the Book of the Three Worlds and placed it on the table in passing. Following that, she got up and bowed. I look forward to the future discussions with you. Your expertise in ancient history is admirable. Oh, she in love. If Klein had been acting as himself, he would have said a few words of humility while praising Vice Admiral Iceberg for her breadth of knowledge. Unfortunately, he was a crazy adventurer, German Sparrow. All he did was nod and say, we are collaborators. Damn. What a badass. Fucking aura farming. It meant that there would be opportunities in the future. He didn't speak further as he left the captain's cabin and returned to his room. He packed his suitcase with a relaxed mind, waited for the Golden Dream to dock, then he headed straight for the deck. At that moment, there were many crew members gathered on the deck and included Gourmet Brewalls, Singer Orpheus, and Flowery Bowtie Jotson. Most of the crew, who were upper echelon members of the pirate crew, with their heads wore a handsome bounty. They gave sincere smiles as they happily kept waving at Klein. Among them, Barrel and Iron Skin were filled with excitement as they belted out a song for their departing guests. When did I have such a good relationship with them? Klein lampooned as he walked past the pirates until he arrived at the gangway. Anderson Hood was there with his hair combed, his clothes neat and tidy. He said with a laugh, they probably mean to say goodbye, or should I say, let's hope we don't meet again. German, do you know how dangerous a situation you were in? You nearly became the public enemy of every crew member. They were so eager to steer the Golden Dream to Bam in 5 minutes. Klein was just about to answer when he saw Danitz jog over her with a black cloak draped over him. This fellow has really resolved himself to do better, and he planned to leave the Golden Dream to get at it alone. This is a little incompatible with my plans. Only by being around Vice Admiral Iceberg and the Church of the God of Knowledge and Wisdom would his value as a believer of the Fool be accentuated. However, it doesn't matter. If the Danitz can grow stronger, it will be even more meaningful. Klein habitually measured the pros and cons before ignoring his other thoughts. He looked at the Danitz in silence as he waited for him to speak. So what's his request? The Danitz opened his mouth with a series of expressions, but nothing came out of it. Is it going to be something for the Fool? All he did was give a hollow chuckle and say to Anderson, do you have the potion formula for Conspirer? Yes, Anderson said with a chuckle, but I have no plans on... What a fucking asshole. Yes, Anderson said with a chuckle, but I have no plans to sell it to you, bitch. Okay, he didn't call him that, but I have no plans on selling it to you. The Nick's expression darkened as Anderson continued to phase. When the point of attaining the Conspirer potion formula now, any attempts to advance now would only result in failure. Well, that's where he prays to the Fool. Pal, it's best you redo your acting as a hunter. Oh my god. I thought it said redo healer. So if you know, you know. It's best you redo your acting as a hunter, followed by provoker, and then I was like, what the fuck was that reference? It's best you redo your acting as a hunter, followed by provoker, and then as a pyromaniac. It's best that you get an artisan to make the giant's heart into a defensive mystical item. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you will be killed by the others when the time comes. After you're sure about your chances, get the Conspirer potion formula from your captain. She has it. However, I believe that this will be the end of you. Conspirer has a very high requirements. Danit's face twitched as he was being mocked, but he remembered every word Anderson told him. This was because the man before him had the title of the strongest hunter who had rich experiences on his pathway. Furthermore, he had a vague identity that the key was acting. He suspected that the captain's guidance from before was directed at this, just that it was rather vague. There will come a day when I'll let you know what a true conspirer is. Danitz stubbornly retorted before looking at German Sparrow. He cleared his throat and he said without darkening his eyes, I've already made the request with Captain. In the future, I'll be in contact with the Resistance and I'll often be in Bayham. It means you don't wish to leave the Golden Dream, but you will find the opportunity to hone yourself. Why does it feel like you're reporting to your boss? He chuckled inwardly as he gave a terse answer. Danitz was instantly relieved as he felt a lot better. If it wasn't because his companions were watching behind him, he would dignitely help German Sparrow carry his suitcase and send him all the way to the dock. After watching German and Anderson leave, he cautiously decided to pray to the Fool every day starting tonight. He wanted to show his devotion to prevent any accidents from happening to him. Inside the Resistance private harbor, Anderson watched as German Sparrow circled into another circled into another newly built road before walking out of the woods via the shortest distance. There will come a day when I'll let you know where the true conspirer is, Danitz stubbornly retorted before looking at Germansborough. He cleared the strut, he said without daring to look into his eyes, I've already made the request with Captain. In the future, I'll be in contact with the resistance, I'll be often in Bayham. No, I resumed. Yeah, I'm resuming now. It means, good catch though. No, we got it though. It means you don't wish to leave the golden dream, but you will find opportunities to hone yourself. Huh? Why does it feel like you're reporting to your boss? Klein chuckled inwardly as he gave a tearfully answer. Danitz was instantly relieved as he felt a lot better. If it wasn't because of his companions who were watching behind him, he would have diligently helped German Sparrow carry his suitcase and send him all the way to the dock. After watching Gerben and Anderson leave, he cautiously decided to pray to the full every day starting tonight. He wanted to show his devotion to prevent any accidents from happening to him. Inside the Resistance private harbor, Anderson watched German Sparrow circled into another newly built road before walking out of the woods via the shortest distance. You seem familiar with this place. This road wasn't here the last time I was here, Anderson said, partly bored and potent. Of course, there are so many people praying to me every day, telling me what they've done, and I occasionally give them response, such as directing them to mend this road. Klein thought smugly, but replied with a stoic expression, where does your friend stay? In a matter in the Bayham City outskirts, Anderson sped up his pace as he led the way. An hour later, he brought Klein to a manor. There was an eclectic, a what smell? Eclectic smell from various spices mixed in with an indescribable ersatz exoticism. What the fuck are these words? Eclectic, deriving ideas, styles of a taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. And what's erats? Erasts? Made or used as a substitute, typically an inferior one from something else. Okay, exoticism. After informing the gatekeeper of their intentions, the two didn't wait long before they saw a man of medium-sized build, less than 1.75 meters, walk over. By his sides were a butler and valet. The man's skin was somewhat sallow with a quite tan. His contours were gentle, but his eye sockets were much more recessed than most Loaness. To Klein, he could basically determine the man's background. He was a Highlander from the Faden part of Kingdom. To the man was already a little plump, with a rotund, amiable face. He immediately laughed when he saw the strongest hunter. Anderson, you aren't dead yet. I'm waiting to attend your funeral. Anderson replied without standing on ceremony. He then turned sideways to Klein. Ufta Koner Cheese, the doctor of my former team. He didn't introduce German Sparrow to Ukfa, and said with a grin, I've brought you business. That's a tricky name to pronounce. Ukfa.
Ukfa instantly.
Ukfa. Oh, that sounds like a bad word. Ukfa instantly understood Anderson and didn't ask in front of his butler and valet. He led the duo towards the main building in the manor. Along the way, Klein saw buildings like windmills, bakery, breweries, and militia training grounds. The entire manor appeared like a miniaturized kingdom. Apart from the lack of the blacksmith, it was completely self-sufficient. Most iron products were cheaper buying from the city than personally making them. Even if 50, yeah, it's gonna be good. I think it is gonna, like, knowing its audience, I think the game is gonna be good. This is the pastoral lifestyle. Klein sighed silently as he followed Ukfa in the house and to his study. Ukfa didn't call the mistress of the house over, nor did he carry out his child to meet Anderson and Klein. Clearly, he didn't wish for them to have any contact with the mysterious world. Hence, after he closed the door, he went straight to the point. What's the business? Didn't you wish to sell the revolver? He has intentions. Oh, he was the seller. You're right. Didn't you wish to sell the revolver? He has intentions of buying it. Anderson pointed the gun. German Sparrow. The powerful adventurer who easily hunted the worm-tongued Mither. Ukfa said in surprise, but he didn't show any fear. He's like, oh shit, it's him? Although he had distanced himself from the adventuring lifestyle, he knew that he couldn't be careless. Therefore, while in Bayham, he would proactively keep himself informed to prevent troublesome from happening. Okay, so you can't turn a blind eye. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be all that plague. It's going to be a big game. Anderson scoffed when he heard that. That's old news. This gentleman's achievement, including successfully hunting slaughtered Kirchis while living to this day. Kirchis, the second mate of the King of Immortality. Ukfa expression changed. He couldn't hide his horror as he secretly turned away. That's right, Anderson said with a self-deprecating smile. In the Pirates' Playground, he's the only one who's recognized as the strongest hunter. Ukfa gulped as he looked at Klein. He couldn't help but smile and say, I believe you have the ability to buy deaf... No? That's what it's called? Deaf Canal? Deaf Canal. How do you say this word? I see Nell. Canal?
Deaf Nell.
Oh, just the K silent. Deaf Nell. Klein asked with piqued interest, but he didn't show it. That's the name of the revolver. It has accompanied me for a decade. If it's not because it overlaps its functionality with my other mystical items and isn't much use for me at present, I wouldn't be willing to sell it. Ukfa replied with a sigh. Ah. Yeah, it's no. Yeah, I saw the K is silent. Yeah, it's just no. At that moment, and thank you guys. At that moment, Anderson tisk with laughter. That wasn't what you said before. You said you preferred farming tools. He's a planter. Klein made the corresponding judgment based on Anderson's words and Ukvak's expression. Meanwhile, the corresponding potion name flashed through his mind. Sequence 9 planter. Oh, Sequence 8 doctor? With the ancient name for healing pastor, and Sequence 7 harvest priest. Oh my god, we're like finally getting info on this fucking pathway, dude. It's been 700 chapters. Sequence 9 planter, Sequence 8 doctor with the ancient name for healing pastor, and Sequence 7 harvest priest. It's no wonder Anderson introduced him as his former teammate's doctor. Oh, it's no wonder Anderson introduced him as his former team's doctor because he was acting as a doctor. Klein thought for a moment. Oh, no, was doctor? I don't know if doctor was revealed. It's no wonder Anderson introduced him as a former team's doctor. Klein thought for a moment. Do you know Frank? I feel like there has to be like a witch doctor. Or if not a witch doctor, like the ones, or like an alchemist, the one with that mixes the potions with plants. Maybe there's an alchemist. Do you know, frankly, huh? No. Although I'm from Faina Potter, my formula and ingredients were obtained by myself, one at a time. Doctor was revealed, but not the sequence number. Okay, so this is a sequence number that wasn't revealed. Got you. Yeah, because I like from what I remember, it's only been planter 9, and there was never anything else stated from like 8 to 0. I remember I remember that. I know doctor was mentioned, but it was never given the sequence number. Same for harvest priest. That was like a name drop right there. Do you know, frankly, huh? No. Although I'm from Faina Potter, my formula and ingredients were obtained by myself one at a time. I had nothing to do with the Church of the Earth Mother, therefore I wouldn't dare to return to Faina Potter. However, I've heard from frankly, he's someone who gave the church quite a headache. Ukva replied frankly, he's the only... We're getting so much on Planter. All right, Planter's starting to get hyped. Planter's a little hyped up now. He's only a Sequence 6 biologist, but he's given such importance. Okay, so Sequence 6 is biologist, but he's given such importance by the church. I really do wish to meet him. I'm sorry. Frank Lee was confirmed to be a planter, but we never saw what sequence he was. I don't remember Sequence 6 biologist. Damn, he's that strong at only Sequence 6. That's crazy. But he's given such importance by the church. I really do wish to meet him if there's a chance. No, you won't. You'll regret having that thought. Klein could tell from Ukvak's answer that he believed in Earth Mother and was likely a powerhouse Sequence 5 beyonder. No, you wouldn't regret having that thought. Klein couldn't tell from Ukva's answer that he believed in Earth Mother and was likely a powerful Sequence 5 beyonder. By his side, Anderson's face twitched when he heard Ukva. He was lingering fear. The guy does give one a headache. In certain sense, you can call him a devil. His powers and thoughts have exceeded the level of Sequence 6. All right, let's not talk about him. When his name pops up, I still remember the milk that was just... He remembers the milk. Ukva looked at the dual puzzlement as he restrained his looks of curiosity. He walked to the table side, opened a drawer, and pulled out the iron black revolver that looked a little longer than an ordinary revolver. Damn. No shot. No, frankly would not be able to roll him over like that. No, I feel like he would win because Klein is speculating him to be a Sequence 5. Okay, like I know the numbers in and of itself don't determine the winner or strength. And I know there's like battle experience techniques and all that, your charms or what you use. But I think with with Ukla's revolver, I think he could body him. I think frankly will win, especially with Defna. By his side, Anderson's face twitched when he heard Ukva. He was lingering fear. That guy does give one a headache. In certain senses, you can call him a devil. Wait, Ukva looked at the dual puzzlement and he restrained. Well, he walked to the side of the table, opened a drawer, and pulled out the iron black revolver that looked a little longer than an ordinary revolver. This is Def now. Ukva introduced solemnly. Frankly, built Def. We'll see. We'll see if there is a fight. Stalling. Chapter 708 is called Revolver worth 9,000 pounds. This is straight up supernatural, bro. When fucking Sam and Dean have the cult and they have to go fight the yellow-eyed demon in season 1. Very chill. I'm getting chills just thinking of this revolver. Death Knell. Strengthen the enemy's death knell with every shot. I like this name. Klein controlled his facial expressions. Dude, now his his gun game is going to go up even more. Klein controlled his facial expressions as he went forward without any anticipation or excitement on his face. He reached out to receive the iron black revolver with a slightly long barrel. The power systems in this series is so cool. Not only do you have like your power system, you have all these crazy like mythical items that can like enhance one, right? Like the fact that there are all these crazy unique items out in the world that like enhance the already cool complex power system. It's so cool, dude. It's like it takes the best of both worlds, you know? He was originally very aware that Ukfa wouldn't raise the price if he showed any strong desires for it. This was common in any transaction, but on second thought, with Gurmitspro's reputation and with Anderson, the strongest hunter of the Foxy, as he witnessed, it was only like Ukfa Connor Chris would offend him despite possibly being a Sequence 5 Beyonder. After all, he had quite the adventuring circles and had hoped to lead a quiet and settled life. He definitely had the reservations that the crazy adventurer might sneak into the manor in the middle of the night, despite not flaring up in front of him. Therefore, his attempts to maintain his calm and composed attitude became one of simply maintaining his persona. Realizing that Gurmitsbro was seriously inspecting and studying Defnel, Ukfa gave a detailed introduction. Its powers are rather uniform to reap the lives of others. Damn, this sounds like a level up from Creeping Hunger. Its powerhouses are rather uniform to reap the lives of others. There are 3 methods. First is the weakness attack. There's no need to meet any conditions. Just directly inject your spirituality and... What the fuck? Literally has a spirit gun. There's no need to meet any conditions. Just literally, like, your spirit bullets are now going to be even... Like, literally, we went from a spirit rifle to a spirit cannon, or like from air bullets to air rifles to air cannons. Just directly inject your spirituality and pull the trigger. It will allow you to discover the target's weakness from a mysticism angle. In other words, it would be the aspects where defenses are weaker, and it would provide you with the corresponding accuracy, thus resulting... Fucking, he has auto aim? Thus resulting in extraordinary terrifying damage. The second is lethal attack. So you do weakness attack, lethal attack, and then there's gonna be like finisher attack. Well, because in Yu Yu Hakusho he has like the spirit gun, right? But now that he has like air bullets, his air bullets were enhanced to like a rifle bullet. So now it's like air bullets, but now he's gonna have like air cannons at this point. Like they keep getting stronger, dude. The second is lethal attack. You have to cock the hammer before shooting. Its distinguishing feature is that wherever you hit the target, it would be equivalent to an attack on their weak spot. Literally auto aim. And if you really do strike the true weak spot, it will be capable of dealing a lethal blow to an enemy. Ooh, so then the weak spot is even... It just turns lethal. Oh, that's what's called lethal attack, duh. To targets who are good at defending, 3 shots would be able to resolve the matter. This includes guardians, of course. What the this sounds so busted. To targets who are good at defending, 3 shots would be able to resolve the matter. This includes guardian. Of course, this is under the premise that 3 lethal blows aren't spread too far apart. It's best not to exceed 5 seconds, like, oh, back to back. The third is slaughtering on the foundation of a weakness attack, providing more than twice the spirituality. On top of that, would imbue ordinary bullets with grape shot effects. Simultaneously, when aimed at a group of enemies, it will result in the area of a... This is a fucking AoE gun. No, I remember it. Sequence 5 is Guardian. Wait, I lied. I was thinking of Father Utroski as a Dawn Paladin. My bad. My bad. Different pathways. Different pathways. Different pathways. I do apologize. Even Elotim has cheat mods now. Dude, this is wild. This is such a fucking hack. Well, in a good way. Like, this is such a good, like, hack. I don't mean hack as in bad, like bad connotation. Like, he literally found a hack. That's crazy, dude. He, like, installed, like, such a, like, OP mod. Look at the Death Note art. Yeah, I know. I want to look at artwork. It looks like a black cult. Damn, it's cool. The third is slaughtering on the foundation of weakness attack, providing more than twice the spirituality. On top of it will imbue ordinary bullets with grape shot effects. Simultaneously, when aimed at a group of enemies, it will result in an area of effect damage. To increase the damage, it will need to meet the conditions for lethal attack, as well as provide more than thrice the spirituality. This strain will be quite a burden on the user. Ah, okay, so you can't just spam this. It can also be... Oh, yet. It can also be combined with bullets with different characteristics, allowing you to target different kinds of enemies. This sounds like it corresponds to Sequence 5 Reaper of the Hunter pathway. This... How? Because of Reaper? I forgot what what was revealed. Yeah, and I do apologize if we are bedooning. Did I say Death Note art? I meant Death Note. My bad. When I get excited, I do that a lot. I do apologize. It can be combined with bullets with different characteristics, allowing you to target different kinds of enemies. This sounds like it corresponds to Sequence 5's Reaper of the Hunter Pathway. Klein glanced at Anderson and asked, seemingly in thought, if the target's physical condition reaches that of a Sequence 4 dragon, how many strikes of the lethal attack will kill it? Ukfa was taken aback as he shook his head in a daze. I've never met a dragon before. Damn, reaping the life from your prey? Oh, as a Reaper. Thank you. Thank you, Clown. Thank you. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry, tunnel vision. I was like, how? I've never met a dragon before, much less a dragon whose physical conditions has reached that of a demigod. I wonder how it would have turned out if he had the gun from the very beginning. When he was in Grizel's Tales. Does Sparrow plan on using this gun to slay dragons, and a demigod dragon at that? Isn't that way too crazy? Ukfa suddenly felt that the adventures these days were completely different from the ones he met back when he was still active. Like, what the fuck are these guys doing now? He didn't even consider the possibility of death. Anderson coughed before clearing his throat. That'll depend on your luck. For real, trust me, luck is extremely important. Luck. Klein needs to be luck. Klein needs luck in his life. Holy shit, he's gonna go monster. He's gonna go monster, right? He's probably gonna go like that Wheel of Fortune route for like Sequence 0. He's gonna need some. I feel like he's gonna need some luck later on. Luck is extremely important, which is why he needs luck. If you encounter a dragon that has been beaten to a state close to death, that one shot would be sufficient. Otherwise, I suggest you run. Yes, it's more important to stay alive. Of course, if the demigod dragon doesn't defend and stay there for you to hit, 5 or lethal attack should be enough to kill it. It is interesting. There's a little bit. Ukfa looked at like maybe what if Monster's compatible? Monster has been kind of hinted at for a while. I don't think we know Sequence 0. I would guess it's Sanguine. In some crazy twist of revelations, Sequence 0, Sanguine, or Sequence 1, Sanguine. Uka looked at Anderson before looking at Sparrow. He decided not to purse the topic as he changed topics. Anderson has told you about the negative effects of death. No, right. You will receive a weakness. You will receive a weakness that originally didn't exist, or it will enhance an already existing weakness, making it become more extreme. This effect will be maintained for 6 hours. Wait, what? Anderson told... Let me read this. Anderson has told you about the negative effects of death now, right? You will receive a weakness that... you receive a weakness that didn't originally exist. Yeah, you will receive a weakness that didn't originally exist, or it will enhance your already existing weakness, making it become more extreme. This effect will be maintained for 6 hours. There was once a time when I became extremely afraid of cats. Then there was one where I had just hunted a famous pirate, but I ended up going limp in the legs in front of a newborn kitten. I knelt before him, wailing and crying for him to spare me. This is straight up supernatural. There's a part where like Dean is scared of everything. He sees the case. Like, ah! That's so funny. I knelt before it, like, that was scary. Wailing and crying for it to spare me. If you carry it around, the problems aren't great. It will only make you easily thirsty. Just drinking more water and heading to the washroom more often would solve the problem. Why does it feel like the negative effects of an additional weakness will bring me more trouble? However, it is something acceptable. Klein deliberated and said, name your price. 9,000 pounds. Anderson should have mentioned it. That's my bottom line. Ufka looked at Death Nail in Sparrow's hands and said, this is already cheap enough. If it wasn't because I was worried of getting to know more Beyonders would affect my present life, I would have actively promoted it. I'm sure I can sell it for 12,000 pounds. Indeed, a mystical item at this level can be sold for a sky-high price if the negative effects aren't too serious. When meeting a suitable buyer, normally speaking, 10,000 to 12,000 pounds is a reasonable price. Although Klein had the intention of bargaining, the price was already low enough that I felt embarrassed to try and take the event like 5,000. Try and take the advantage of him. With a tear's acknowledgement, he said, I'll give it a run. I'll complete the deal if there aren't any problems. Of course, he didn't really try the gun, as if it would give him a weakness for nothing. His method for inspection was to use his spirituality to probe the gun, along with testing it for credibility. Ukfa would via divination. He did it rather openly without minding Ukfa and Anderson's gaze. The real bishop is Rotek's creeping hunger. Klein is perfect for a second weakness. He has already got the bathroom. He goes to the bathroom so often, he's good. Def now as a top tier grade 2 artifact. It's already top tier. I'm loving it. Did I just say a McDonald's thing? I'm loving it. I love it. I'll make confirmation later above the Grey Fog. However, Ukfa likely doesn't dare lie to me. He's definitely afraid of a crazy adventure seeking revenge on him. Like, this is such a high tier artifact already. Like, for whatever its rank, it's already high tier. However, how much longer? We can still keep going for a few more hours. I think we're good. Klein placed Deathclaw on the table and lifted his suitcase and took the 9,000 pounds out from it. The money had been removed from above the gray fog to air it ahead of time. After Ukfa received the money, he did a quick count and confirmed the authenticity of the money. As expected of a recently famous adventurer, few people can produce 9,000 pounds in cash at once. Even a tycoon doesn't have that much liquidity, he said pungently as he put away his stacks of cash. I even spent 5,000 pounds to buy a key not long ago. Klein felt his heart suddenly turn empty as he saw the 9th. Now he's kind of broke, right? He's pretty broke now. He had like 13,000 something at one point, right? I even spent 5,000 pounds to buy a key not long ago. Klein felt his heart suddenly turn empty as he saw the 9,000 pounds enter Ukfa's drawers. I've been out at sea for so long, saving up so much money, but in just moments, it's all gone now. Now I'm left with 2,683 pounds and 6 gold coins. Ooh, he has a new gold coin. I can't even afford a relatively decent manner. Klein sighed as he took out the ordinary revolver from his underarm holster and removed the bullets inside and stuffed them into Death Knell. After Anderson watched the entire transaction, he said with Tisk, Ukfa, you've changed in the past. You would have checked the authenticity of each note. If you find it troublesome, I can help you. It's totally fine, but I'm worried that Germansborough will shoot you. Ukfa clearly knew the strongest hunter's talents and provocation. He could imagine the scene of Anderson posing in a way that was beginning to be beaten, counting each and every note while verifying them against the light in slow motion. Well said. Klein silently pressed him. He then stuffed the iron black longbow revolver into the underarm holster. The original revolver was thrown inside the suitcase. Oh, his old rifle. Thanks to you, I no longer have to fret over this matter, Ukfa said with a smile as he pointed at the door. I'll get my valet to send you out. Anderson opened his mouth as he chuckled. Ukfa, aren't you going to keep us here for dinner? When you're married with kids, I'll treat you to the best food at the best restaurant. Ukfa said with a smile, completely unfazed by his accusations. Aw. Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember when somebody did the math, like 1,000 pounds was like 100,000 like US dollars. Something like that, right? Maybe? Out of the manor, Anderson looked up with squinted eyes. At the sight of a setting sun, he chuckled. Back when I knew Ukfa, he was a doctor who was good at planting all kinds of strange plants on the ships to improve everyone's lives. I thought he would die early on during our adventure, but to my surprise, he was always lucky. He even became a druid A druid later? A druid. That's not a... No, that's not a pathway. It just like he just became a druid. Okay. Why are you pungent words also so deserving of a beating? Klein deliberately said, he does have good luck. As your companion, luck is needed to survive. Imagine he still had to die. Oh, so it's actually a sequence reveal. So, okay. I was like, is this a sequence or like he just became a druid? So, okay, it is a new sequence. Okay. But to my surprise, he was always so lucky. He even became a druid later. I thought like he just like, oh, like he took on the title. Like he became like when someone becomes a doctor, but not as a sequence name. Okay, so he became a druid is the actual sequence. Sequence 5 druid. Got it. Why are you pungent words also so deriving of a beating? That's crazy. Back when I knew Ukfa, he was a doctor who was good at planting all kinds of strange plants on the ship to improve everyone's lives, which was sequence 8. I thought he would die early on during our adventure, and then we had 6 revealed. But to my surprise, he was also lucky. He even became a druid later. Druid would be the after 6, so 5. Sequence 5 druid. Why are you so pungent words also so deserving of a beating? We got so much revealed like right away. Well, we don't know if it's sequence 5. It can be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like we don't know yet. I assume. As your companion, luck is needed to survive. Anderson turned his head in surprise as he scrutinized Germansborough. You know how to mock others, or have you been affected by me? He wasn't too affected. As he straightened his clothes, he took off his hat and said with a smile, all right, you've gotten the mythical items you need. If there's nothing else, it's time I embark on my own journey. Don't forget the demigod's mission. Klein succeeded in using a single sentence to crumble Anderson's expression. I already have an urge that compels me to finish the matters as soon as possible. All right, there's no need for goodbyes. Perhaps we might really meet again one day. Anderson gave a self-deprecating laugh, waved the hat in his hand, and turned to head towards another path that left the Bam. As he watched the strongest hunter depart, Klein slowly heaved a sigh of relief. Holding his suitcase, he followed the path and he took to get here and headed for Bam under the red evening and the shelter of the uniqueness palm trees. Inside Bam City, now we're in Bam? Inside Bam City, after finding an ordinary inn to stay in, Klein began considering his subsequent plans. I'm finally free. I can attempt to act as a marionettist. I have to figure out the corresponding principles for his new persona. Damn. That's the most pressing issue for now. Yes, marionettist. The focus should be on the marionette. I have to actually create a marionette and control it in battle. What the fuck, dude? I should start from there. This now, what would be crazy if he was able to turn the dragon into a marionette and he had an ability where he can like make it get smaller. That would be sick. So now he has like a small miniaturized dragon, right? That'd be sick, but I guess not. The most pressing issues for now, yes, marionettes. The focus should be on the marionette. I have to actually create a marionette and control it in battle. I should start from there. So now he's gonna be able to control a marionette to fight for him. And I feel like the marionette by default would be able to protect him from any weaknesses he gets from Death Knell. So when he uses Death Knell, gets the weakness, his marionette wouldn't be affected by that weakness. So this is like, his sequence is so perfect for Death Knell. Because when he has a weakness, his marionette can protect him during those 6 hours. So fucking sick, man. Yes, marionette. The focus should be on the marionette. I have to actually create a marionette and control him in battle. I should start from there. This matter can be completed before returning to Backland. Oh, you know what would be crazy? Would he be able to give Death Knell to the marionette, inject his spirituality into the marionette, and then as he's thank you, he has to control his marionette. No, he has to control his marionette, so he can. This is it's such a specific weakness that I feel like if he injects his spirituality into the marionette and has the marionette get the weakness, he's completely free. Yes, no, but then I want we'll find out. I do want him to be a we'll see. Yes, marionette. This matter can be completed before returning to Backland. We're almost back in Backland. Not only do Beyonders have to stay hidden there, making it difficult to encounter one, but no matter what one does, it's easy to get on the bad side of the church or some important figure. I need to be careful. It's not a good place to select and create marionettes. The sea is better. I'll go make my rounds at the bar later. I'll find a pirate who deserves death to give it a try. With this in mind, Klein immediately got up and left his room. Oh, it's going to be Anderson. The marionette has her own spirituality. Okay, so then so the marionette has its own spirituality. Then Klein would be free. Fears the weakness. Then Klein would be free from that weakness because having a fear of cats isn't specific. We'll see. I think it'd be cool if that's like a good way to like circumvent the negative effects of Death Knell. What if you know what, dude? I could see him being scared of his own marionette. One person's like, oh my god, it's so scary. And then like he can't use it. That is so fun. And the fact that it's randomized, that's what makes this so exciting. I feel like there's going to be some very funny moments when he gets a weakness. And then there are going to be some very actual scary moments when he gets a weakness. I'll find a pirate who deserves death and give it a try. Now, what would be sad is if Anderson dies because he's so unlucky. Wait, no, his unluckiness was cleared. Maybe he dies in battle and then he turns the strongest hunter into a marionette. We'll see. I kind of don't want that to happen, but then I feel like in that way, in a very morbid sense, Anderson stays with us longer. With this in mind, Klein immediately got up and left his room as though he was bringing his certificate of deposit to bank. Withdraw the money. I read that wrong. He headed for the nearby seaweed bar. Famous pirates often showed up there. Soon he arrived at the bar's entrance. After straightening his clothes, he pushed open the heavy wooden door. Gazes subconsciously swept past his face before they moved away as though it wasn't anything extraordinary. Following that, someone shouted with a surprised voice, German Sparrow, and in a blink of an eye, is everybody after him now? And a blink of an eye, several figures in the bar ran for the back door. Before Klein could figure out what was happening, the bar was left relatively dead. What the fuck? Everybody just left? Oh shit, this is where he's gonna use his gun. They're all gonna point at each other's. All right, let's keep reading. All right, next chapter is 709. Elland's warning. As Klein looked at the bar, which was so silent that he could hear breathing, he was taken aback. Only then did he step in and walk straight to the bar counter as though nothing had happened. I should change my appearance the next time I come in. He thought in frustration, just short of face palming. He's like, I forgot to change my face. Ukfa lacks of awareness that German Sparrow had sufficiently hunted slaughtered Kerchies had made Klein believe that the latest news hadn't reached the City of Generosity, and he boldly came to Seaweed Bar. To his surprise, the problem lay in Ukfa, who had kept a distance from the adventure circles. He was a little behind on the news, and the crazy adventure infamy had already spread among the pirates around the Warshad Archipelago. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Sighing silently, Klein sat in front of the bar, countered, and wrapped the wooden counter. 1 glass of stout beer, 6 pence. The bartender gulped his saliva with great difficulty. He's scared. Klein took out a few copper pence and placed it in front of him. Without a change in expression, he asked, any developments recently? The bartender took out the money and carefully delivered the beer to German Sparrow. Then he forced a smile and said, Admiral Amiris Rivdelt has been transferred back to Backland. Oh. Okay, from early in the volume. Admiral Robert Davis has replaced him, becoming the highest-ranking naval commander of the surrounding waters for the kingdom. The archipelago situation is a little tense. Many pirate crews had sent people to gather intelligence. Admiral Mears was ultimately implicated by his brother and lost his post. However, as long as he wasn't directly involved, it can't get any worse for him. When considering his status as a demigod, at the very least, he can maintain the treatment he receives as an admiral. Nothing will happen to his family either. Once the matters blow over, he might still have a chance of becoming a high-ranking member of the Navy. Klein gulped down the beer and asked in passing, which family is Robert Davis from? No, he's not a noble. He's one of the rare officers who slowly rose up the ranks in admiral. In the Berserk Sea Sony Island in East Balham, he has rendered plenty of meritorious services. The bartender recalled the commendations the papers recently had the Admiral Robert Davis. After a pause, he said, however, I heard that he had received the sponsorship of many nobles. Yes, of the Imperial Navy admirals who are far from the royal family or aristocrats or have close ties with them take up at least 80%. The remaining 20% are mainly rear admirals and vice admirals. Klein had long learned of the situation from the documents he'd received from Emiris Rivdelt. Compared to this, the army was a lot better. German Sparrow didn't continue asking as he seemed to focus on drinking the bartenders. Then added, in the past 2 to 3 months, the residence has been very active. They've been constantly attempting to destroy the railways or set up blockades on public roads. They've given the Governor General office quite a headache, forcing it to dispatch large numbers of soldiers to maintain a smooth flow of traffic. However, the resistance army seldom clashes with them head-on. I'm aware of that. It's all going according to my plans. In a place where the natives and mixed bloods take up 80%, it's not difficult for the resistance to gather accurate intelligence. Coupled with external sponsors, it wouldn't be hard for them to live on the short periods of time. The reason why they were in a dire situation in the past was all because Calvatua was an irrational sea serpent. It often got them to attack key nodes in the city, fighting head-on with the Loan's Kingdom, Navy, and Army. Klein mumbled to himself in delight as he drank another mouthful of beer. He had also warned the resistance to not be overly active. If they forced the Governor General office into a corner, the Loan Kingdoms might send Sequence 5 Beyonders, or even which would be bad for both sides. Sequence 5 Beyonders, or even demigods who were good at pursuit and tracking. With the resistance strength, there was no way they could put up a fight. In the name of Sea God, Klein's instructions were to maintain while slightly improving their present situation and await for the global situation to change. It wasn't too far off, according to the various matters Miss Justice had feedback on, and with the Hangman giving insights that affirmed this, it was certain that once the Loan's Kingdom was done with its internal reforms and making the originals and newly added ironclad warships becoming its main force in combat, a war against the southern continent colonies was inevitable. Another war. He silently drank his beer until... Sorry, I kind of like scuffed that paragraph. He silently drank his beer until the bartender was done. He then wore his hat, got up, and left the bar, heading straight for his inn. Along the way, he saw bronze-skinned children with curly hair and native with brown jackets and pantaloons. These people either made way in horror without even looking up, or they were hunched in the corner, looking at Klein with a complicated look in their eyes. Klein helplessly curved the ends of his lips as he silently returned to his room. He didn't immediately change his appearance and head for the various bars to seek out pirates. This was because he was certain that they would hide the entire night or not appear again. Just as Klein was planning to enter Grizel's travels to explore it, there was a knock on the door. Wow, he's going to go back in? There was a knock on his door. Without needing to ask, all he did was grip the knob with the visitors appearing naturally surface in his mind. It was a middle-aged man dressed in a black-red coat with white slacks. He wore a ship-shaped hat. Is it a Navy guy? The corners of his eyes and mouth, as well as his forehead, had clear wrinkles. He was none other than the captain of the Whitegate military personnel, Just Elland. Impressive news of my appearing in Bayham just spread, and he managed to find where I'm staying. Of course, it's because... Wait. Whilst closing... Wait, no? Wrong guy? Oh, okay. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Already? Good evening. I'm very glad to see you in Bayham. Elland took off his hat and entered the room without any... I'm sorry, who is Elland? I don't remember who's Elland. Just Elland. Captain of the White Agate. This is from earlier. No. Fuck, I'm mixing him with the Navy Admiral. Good evening. I'm very glad to see you in Bayham. Elland took off his hat and entered the room without any reservations. Owner of the ship Klein and Danitz took. Oh, in the beginning. Oh. From the beginning, the first ship, just Elland. And I remember Klein was like, he's not just Elland. Okay, got it. From the beginning, just Elland was a retired adventurer that was being a bodyguard. Got it. The first ship at the beginning of the volume. Damn, look at that, full circle. Good evening. I was like, who the fuck is he again? I was confusing him with the Navy Admiral. He disguised himself during chapter 627 with the Mother Tree of Desire. And like, well, no. He was mentioned earlier. This is somebody else. Wow, it's been a while since. Yeah, he was a captain. All right, it's been a while, dude. It was a cool minute from the White Gate. Good evening. I'm very glad to see you in Bayham. Elland took off his hat and entered the room without any reservations. Is there something? Klein pulled a chair over and sat down. Elland sat opposite to him and chuckled. Isn't visiting a friend the most important matter? Aw. You're such a smooth talker. Too bad Anderson is gone, or he can learn from you. Klein felt triggered for some reason. He maintained his usual state and looked into Ellen's eyes. All right, you've made your visit. Ellen seemed to have expected such results. He smiled and said, do you still remember Donna? Of course, she and her brother are adored. Oh, they're missing. I was going to say earlier, did something happen to them, or is he still being their bodyguard? Of course, she and her brother are adorable. I wonder if they've recovered from the fright I gave them the last time and have given up any curiosity towards the mysterious world. Klein calmly replied, I don't have amnesia. Forgetting unimportant matters and aids our mental health. This isn't said by Emperor Rizal. Alan simply explained, didn't you tell Donna's father that he should post an advertisement in the Sonia Morning Post for 3 days in a row asking to buy the mere special curd meat if he needs your help? He did so recently, but unfortunately you weren't in Bayham or nearby seas. What happened after that? Klein's instincts told him that Donna and her family weren't in serious trouble based on Ellen's relaxed attitude. Ellen chuckled and said, I heard your conversation back then. After discovering the advertisement, I visited them using the address. As you know, Donna is a lovely lady. She reminds me of my daughter. This matter isn't too complicated. Urdi, who's Donna's father, had a bunch of valuable goods plundered by the crazy captain. This plunged him into a terrible economic situation. Although it isn't as bad as going bankrupt, life for him has definitely turned for the worse. That's why he wishes to commission you to get the goods back. I knew you weren't in Bayham back then, so I had to go through my own channels to help Urdi recoup the goods at a reasonable price. Crazy Captain Klein first found this title familiar before recalling where he had heard it before. According to Red Hair Helene, we're going back with Helene, Vice and Admiral Element Tracy, delivery of slaves for the demonist sect were passed off to Crazy Captain Connors Victor. The latter appeared to have close connections with many of the slave dealers and merchants in the Lowen Kingdom. And this was tied to the truth behind the human disappearances in the colonies, as well as the underlying reason for the great smog of Backland. I've always been trying to investigate this matter. Back when I attacked Tracy, that was half the reason, but unfortunately, I didn't succeed. Later, I was busy in acting for digesting of the potion and my search for mermaids, so I temporarily abandoned my investigations. Klein thought raised as he asked without a perturbed look, where's your crazy captain now? Urdi has already gotten back to his goods. Ellen hissed, emphasizing that the matter had been settled. Klein looked at him and repeated, where's Connors Victor now? Ellen shook his head in exasperation. I've no idea, but his subordinates are still in Bayham, trying to gather intelligence. As you know, Admiral Mears has returned to Backland, and he's been replaced by Admiral Davis. Oh, the music is so low. Many. And he's been replaced. Fuck, I got lost. Where's Connors Victor now? Ellen shook his head in exasperation. I have no idea, but his subordinates is still in Bayham trying to gather intelligence. As you know, Admiral Mears has returned to Backland, and he's been replaced by Admiral Davis. Many changes are in place, so the pirates need a new handle of the latest situation. Therefore, I guess that Connor's ship is docked in the shadows of one of the nearby islands, but that's a guess with no way to confirm it. After listening in silence with his hands clasped, Klein said, thank you. Ellen exhaled and looked out the window as his expression rapidly turned solemn. I came here today to tell you that you're too eye-catching. The higher-ups are beginning to pay attention to you. A powerhouse that can easily kill creatures wouldn't be ignored. It's best that you stop using this identity for checking in, otherwise you might face some difficult problems. That's why he almost facepalmed earlier. Klein nodded seriously and said, all right. He was very grateful for Captain Elland's warning, but he didn't show it on his face. After Elland left, Klein immediately changed his appearance, switched ends, and confirmed that he was intrigued by the military. After doing all that, he began considering the search for crazy Captain Connors Victor. To others, this was an extremely difficult task, but Klein had a trick up his sleeve. It was to use Sea God Scepter and communicate with nearby sea creatures. Literally Aquaman. Stop reading. Guys, I'm not in a reading mood today. I think we're gonna stop after this chapter. After doing all that, he began considering the search for crazy Captain Connors Victor. To the other, this was an extremely difficult task, but Klein had a trick up his sleeve. It was to use Sea God Scepter and communicate with the nearby creatures. As long as Connors Victor was in archipelago waters, there was no way he could hide from Klein. Of course, if necessary, he had enough time to perform the search. Beast Tamer? Literally Beast Tamer. You guys were making fun of me that he was going to be a Beast Tamer, Sequence 0 Beast Tamer. He's already a Beast Tamer at Sequence 5. He has a marionette. He can control it. And he can talk to, like, aquatic creatures, man, out at sea. Literally Beast Tamer. Alright, chapter 710 is called Plan. After that huge tangent sidetrack, I don't know what that was. We're going to keep reading. Yeah, we finally solved that OBS mystery off stream. So if you guys want to see that, you guys can watch the VOD, or a quick plug. You guys can watch it if you're a member for the first 3 days. That was such a crazy mystery. Only people that are watching the live stream would understand what just happened. All right, let's keep reading. Chapter 710 is called Plan. Above the great fog, Klein extended his hand and summoned the Sea God Scepter from his junk pile. He began browsing through the countless points of light swirling above the sealed artifact. Every point of light corresponded to a believer's prayers. The glow swirled with ethereal holiness. Soon, Klein did a preliminary screen as he focused on the waiters instead of the archipelago. After he had isolated the Sea God Scepter above the great fog, he was unable to directly use divine artifact to sense the surrounding waters and do anything effective. He had to rely on the scenes of his believers' prayers as a foundation before reaching out 5 nocturnal miles to influence the corresponding undersea creatures. Klein, are we recording? Let me make sure. We forgot to update this. I'm sorry. Let me do it while we're still recording. Klein emanated his spirituality and touched one of the specks of light. He saw a native performing his daily prayers of the evening on a fishing boat before docking. As Klein's thoughts changed, the angle of the scene quickly drew higher as more dark clouds, undiluting the waves, appeared in the second. There are signs of a storm brewing hours ahead. That's right, I did find the atmosphere representing what I was out. That was why Elland said the crazy Captain Connor's ship is likely to be hiding in the shadows of some island. It was avoided... I'm sorry, I'm reading wrong. I said an art. What is that? Thank you for the artwork. That was pretty funny. Wait, let me show it on stream. Let me show it for the recording. This was the artwork. It's a little cropped. Let me fix it. Look at that, dude. This is so sick. Look at that. That's so awesome, dude. That's so freaking cool, man. Thank you guys for the amazing artwork as always. That's cool, dude. As Klein's thoughts changed, the angle of the scene quickly drew higher as more dark clouds and undulating waves appeared in the scene. There are signs of a storm brewing hours. You know what, hold man. I'm getting a little sentimental. I'm getting a little emotional, man. Thank you, guys. Did you see Def Nil above that? I think it's a new version. Yes. Wait, see what? Oh, man. But thank you, guys, man. It's crazy seeing all the fan art, man. Like, you guys are amazing. Thank you. Can you show the text you're reading on stream? Yeah, look at that. Def now. An iron black long barrel revolver, a sealed artifact that gives the user the ability to attack any weakness of their opponent and deliver a fatal blow. So cool, dude. Like, this genuinely reminds me of the cult from Supernatural, man. Like, from season 1. That's so sick, dude. It's so cool. Oh, here, we'll keep reading for now, though. But that's so sick. Something like that. By the way, they're going to be a Discord watch together anime. Though. As clouds, I think I'm right here. As Klein's thoughts changed, the angle of the scene quickly drew higher as more dark clouds, undiluting waves appeared in the scene. There are signs of storms brewing hours ahead. That's right, I did find the atmosphere representing when I was out. That's why Elland said the crazy Captain Connor's ship is likely to be hiding in the shadows of some island. It was to avoid the storm, and Klein tapped the edge of the model table as he muddled silently. Having deduced this, made his search much easier. That was because he didn't need to search the extensive waters. All he needed to do was focus on different islands around these waters. With a change in thought, a blue gem at the tip of the sea god scepter in Klein's had lit up. On the waters which no longer had the fishing boat, the crimson moonlight shone down at the deep blue waves that were slowly rising. Suddenly, splashing silently, surged upwards, and exaggerated eyes looking up in the sky surfaced beneath the eyes with a massive silhouette. At the same time, all kinds of fish began surfacing nearby. They took in the indistinct halo that came scattering down, and they circled around before swimming down and headed different directions. 10 seconds later, the waters in a 5 nocturnal mile radius returned to its previous state. Dude, I know we're streaming right now, but I'm thinking, I got username, I got you. I'm thinking about our cosplay for day 1. I'm thinking of getting like a cane, a fucking black trench coat, top hat, walking with full clown makeup, fucking monocule in one eye. I'm like, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm thinking this as I'm reading, I'm thinking about what to do. And I'm like, wait, I got like 1 week to plan all this. I don't know if I'll be able to work it out. The absolute drip. Fuck, dude, like, wait, and then we play the Zoolander music when he's walking in. That'd be so bad. I'm sorry. Our read-through became really scuffed 2 hours in. I'm sorry. I do apologize. I'm sorry. Bro is going to cosplay every other character at once except Audrey. Except the one I promised. Having expected spirituality to the limit, he believed that he would fall asleep immediately, yet his hand began aching, preventing him from opening his eyes or falling asleep. Klein could clearly feel that his skin seemed overly sensitive. Lumps grew over his skin, and hidden beneath them were countless meat tendrils. Indeed, as Mr. Hangmat said, if you drain your spirituality to 0 for 2 consecutive days, you'll definitely start hearing things and show signs of losing control. My body became a little abnormal just from reaching my limits once, despite not having any maintaining it for too long. Of course, it's because I've only recently advanced and I haven't digested much. Furthermore, there's the excess from the potions from the prior sequences. Klein regained his train of thought as he attempted to cogitate the stacked spherical lights so as to calm the fatigue of his body and mind. Let's test it. Having gradually recovered he finally fell asleep. By the time he woke up, it was in the middle of the night. At that moment, the winds were howling outside. The rain was pouring as a storm had finally unleashed its might after a prolonged period of brewing. And this wasn't a rare situation in Bayam. Apart from that, the night was relatively serene. Clank went to the washroom and cleared his bowels. Washing his hands and taking 4 steps counterclockwise, he once again appeared above the gray fog. He picked up the Sea God Scepter at the end of the long bronze table and began browsing through the scenes from the sea creatures. The scenes were that of a ship, it all located at different ports, harbors, and other shadows of different islands. Although Klein hadn't seen the crazy Captain Connor's Victor, he had previously learned of his trace in the various emblems of his pirate's crew. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of failing to identify him. The music sounds really low. I'll turn it up a bit. Identifying him, scenes flashed past as he patiently scrutinized the details of the ship. About 10 minutes later, a look of unconcealed joy appeared in his eyes. He zoomed in unseen as he pulled the orientation of the scene closer. He had found the suspected ship. The ship was docked at the back of the Seamean Island, an island further to the Rochard Archipelago. Behind it was a towering cliff with churning waves, and below it, its sails and flags had been reefed up, but that was a white skull embedded with an eye patch of 2 sides of the ship. This was none other than an embedded of the crazy captain's pirate crew. Klein removed the spirit pendulum from his left wrist and made a confirmation via divination. Pretty scary people into believing in him. The answer made him rejoice, as it was indeed Connor's Victor ship, and Crazy Captain only had 1 ship. It's no wonder that despite the most adventures at sea, knowing that Crazy Captain is in contact with the kingdom's human traffickers and slave merchants, the Church of Storms, investigators of the colony disappearances didn't point to him. He only had a bounty of 3,300 pounds. The pirate crew only had 1 ship, so it just looked like a small business. It's impossible for him to do large-scale human trafficking. What should I do next? Klein first signed silently before considering his angle of investigation. His first reaction was to summon a massive undersea creature, hitch a ride like earlier when he went with Anderson to the Golden Dawn. Hitch a ride on something akin to a whale and head straight for the Sumerian island while the storm continued. Then he could infiltrate and use his powers as a marionnettist to control crazy... No shot! We're going to turn crazy Captain Connor's Victor into a marionette. Without causing too much of a stir, but on careful thought, he felt that it was a rash decision. It wasn't a problem dealing with other pirates who weren't at the pirate admiral level, but since crazy Captain Connor's Victor was involved with a terrifying matter, like the Great Smog of Backland, he had to consider the Connors. I'm sorry, how was he involved with the Great Smog of Backland? I don't remember this. And if it was revealed, I completely forgot it. He was involved with terrifying matters like the Great Smog of Backland. He had to consider that Connor's normal actions were just a disguise. Well, he was the one supplying the people towards Aurora Order when they were like down there in their like hidden lair, right? In consideration of how he might have it with, right? Maybe. I forgot how he's involved. How he might have another identity with the ship concealing some secrets. There was a high chance of their ship to be a trap that could deal with Pirate Admiral. I read that wrong. Kidnapping people. Yeah, okay. So he was involved with trading. Got it. And vice versa. When Klein disguised himself as one of them because he heard that conversation from Alger back in Volume 2. Klein might not walk out alive despite being armed to the teeth if he were made such a rash infiltration attempt. Really? Should I summon myself and head over with the Sea God Scepter as a spirit body? This can avoid some accidents as I can immediately end the summoning if anything goes wrong. However, the Sea God Scepter is essentially the Beyonder characteristic of a high sequence Beyonder from the Storm pathway. As long as it appears in the real world, it might attract Sea King John Copeman. This will prevent the situation from developing and if he uses the Sea God Scepter on land, he wouldn't be able to appear. This would prevent, to some extent, right? This would prevent the situation from, and if he were to appear, then he'd be at disadvantage. This would prevent the situation from developing as I expected to. Klein looked at the storm and the scene as he came up with a preliminary plan. Before that, he conjured a pen and paper and wrote the divination statement. Dealing with Connor's Victor is very dangerous. Picking up the silver chain and spirit pendulum, Klein reined in his thoughts and focused on divination. Soon he opened his eyes to see the topaz pendant turning clockwise at a high frequency and large amplitudes. This meant that dealing with Connor's Victor was very dangerous. It's as I expected. Thankfully, I didn't rashly rush over. Klein picked up the Sea God Scepter and decided on executing his plan he had just thought of. It was to use the prayer and scene of a strike Connor's Victor ship with a Sea God Scepter from afar. By using the cover of the storm, he would rouse the nest and force out its secrets. After grasping the relevant situation, he would end the attacks before St. John Cutman sensed the abnormality and arrived at sea. Klein wouldn't feel disappointed if Connor's Victor unfortunately landed in the hands of the Sea King. This was because he would have to think of its means to pass the information to the three churches after he figured out the truth of the Great Smog of Backland. If Crazy Captain successfully escaped, Klein would have pried into his secrets by rousing the nest. He could then subsequently formulate a plan of attack. Klein slowly... he's so cunning, dude. Klein slowly exhaled as he watched the ship bob about with the dark crashing waves before raising the Sea God Scepter high in the air. At the tip of the scepter, the blue gems that circled around it had begun to emit a bright light. I'm sorry, so is he going to follow through with this? Alright, next chapter. Chapter 711 is called The Storm Attacks. Samin Island under the towering cliff, dark sea waters were being roused by the surrounding waves as they churned about considerably. On Crazy Captain Connor's Victor ship, name of the single Iron Skull, a few pirates donned cloaks as they pulled up their hats. The rain pattered down heavily on them as they fought against the winds. They could lift a child in order to walk out of the cabin and expect the ship to prevent any accidents from happening. Their cloaks were made of linen, but their surfaces were smeared with an already hardened sticky liquid. The raindrops were unable to permit through the layers that could only flow down onto the deck. The liquid was Donningsman tree sap produced of the southern continent's rainforest. It was naturally water resistant and it was quite... Let me raise the volume because we're getting a fight this chapter. I feel it. So I'm going to raise the volume. I'm going to raise it because I already know there's going to be a fight coming up. So I'm going to just keep this. The liquid was Donningsman tree sap produced from the southern continent's rainforest. It was naturally water resistant and it was quite commonly seen. Giants never retreat. Oh, you know what? We can do that, Clown Man. I think that's a good idea. It was originally rather cheap, but after a research team last year suspected that it had beneficial effects on hair growth, its price skyrocketed. In such weather, it's suitable to be inside the Red Theater, drinking liquor, smoking weed, and having women in your arms. A pirate looked out of the shipboard and grumbled. His companion echoed him as he pulled at his cloak's hood. I hear there's a bunch of new arrivals at the Red Theater. I really want to give them a try. How did you learn of that? Another pirate asked in passing. He met with a chuckle. I heard it from the boss. It's not like you have no idea what Captain's business is. That's why the boss knows plenty of human traffickers. They prefer to be called slave merchants. That's sad. Speaking of which, I recalled what happened that time. The pirate who spoke at the beginning was wore a reminiscent look. Among the goods sent over, there was a young noble lady who fled from her home. Her skin figure looks tisk were. I have no idea how to describe it. I still remember her to this day. What a pity she committed unaliving. These guys are fucking assholes, man. Fucking scums. As he spoke, they suddenly felt their vision brighten and they subconsciously looked up into the sky. Apart from the pattering rain, there was an abnormal silver bolt of lightning that was snaking its way through the dark clouds that hid in the crimson moon and stars. Suddenly, a gigantic bolt of lightning that illuminated the surrounding water smote down, heading straight for the single-eyed skull. Boom. The bolts began to spread out randomly as the wooden ship burst into flames. Defeating thunder echoed like pirates' ears. Right on the heels of that, silver bolt of lightning struck down like they were brandishing their claws. The tiny sailboat was instantly plunged into a lightning forest. At that moment, the thick lightning bolts that were about to interweave together had suddenly separated. They split apart, violations of the natural law, as they failed to hit a single-eyed skull. They hung close to their ship's surroundings before striking the pitch black water, lightening up the surrounding seas as a sizzling lightning bolt snaked out into a spectacle. The pirates on the deck suffered from the strike. One of them had been charred black like an overburned piece of wood. Ugh. Two collapsed as their bodies convulsed. There really is a problem. No shit. Above the great fog, Klein couldn't help but sigh when he saw the scene of the lightning storm being dispelled. He was certain that this was a power at the level of a demigod. If he had rationally infiltrated the single-eyed skull, even with creeping hunger, death knell, and Grozel's travels, there's no way... Oh, is he going to use Grozel's travels to, like, block the bullets? What pathway do you think it is? It has to be from the sailor pathway. The whole... No shot. What pathway do you think that ability to defend the boat was? No shot he guessed it. I'm thinking sailor. It has something to do with sailor. Nah, we'll find out. We'll see. Maybe sailor. Taking a deep breath, Klein made all the blue gems on the tip of the white bone scepter light up. Around the single-eyed skull, there were two kinds of sounds in the storm. One was piercing sharp as though it could pierce through... Oh, wait, no. It's piercing. One was piercing sharp as though it could pierce through one eardrum and penetrate one's brain. The other was deep, sounding like a beating heart as it struck onto one's spirit body. Spectator. Klein's embodying Captain America. I was reading this part and still guessing correctly. It may be Spectator? Or, I forget what it is where you're, like, able to, like, pierce and affect the spirit body. Maybe we'll find out. I'll be honest, I'm not that good at guessing. If you guys know, I think next chapter or something. Okay. This gave the pirates an extremely uncomfortable experience, with many having the urge to vomit blood. However, this was only the beginning. The sound of splashing water intensified as dark waves surged up to a height of nearly 10 meters, running opposite of the island's cliff. There was like a wall created by a deity as he pushed it towards a single-eyed skull with an invisible hand. This was the tsunami that Klein had created. It could already be considered a calamity. The whooshing sound of the waves sounded like explosions as pirates on board looked at the dark sky outside. The churning clouds and the massive tsunami, it felt like the apocalypse mentioned in the mythical legends had arrived. They lost all will to save themselves. But as they were waiting in despair for the final judgment, a disturbance that didn't abide by the logic of scientific laws appeared in the middle of the waves created by the tsunami. An indescribable vortex rapidly took form as it tore through the entire waves, causing the terrifying waves to rapidly collapse as a result. Amidst a rapture rumble, a secondary wave threw the single-eyed skull up high into the air as a gigantic wave from before dispersed. Spraying a portion of its load onto the ship, one of the masts broke and the ship was in shambles. Even the deck was completely flooded. Whoosh. A strong wind suddenly stirred and swept up the pirates, turning it into a hurricane that exceeded its own limits. Pushing the airborne single-eyed skull further towards the sea, the ship began to ride the squall as it flew across the sky, covering a distance of several nocturnal miles without landing in the undiluting water. It was as though it was an airship that continued stably proceeding forward. Klein was amazed at the demigod or sealed artifact in the corresponding level inside the single-eyed skull for nullifying the tsunami. Klein was amazed at the demigod or sealed artifact of the corresponding level inside the single-eyed skull for nullifying the tsunami. He signed as his lacking sequence, and he couldn't create a destructive tsunami that Kalvatuat had previously created. Despite stirring the powers of the mysterious space above the Great Fog, in the meantime he controlled the hurricane and ensured that the single-eyed skull didn't lose its support and plummeted, afraid if it would leave his 5 nocturnal mile range of influence. At that moment, his goal wasn't to destroy the single-eyed skull, nor was it to capture crazy Captain Connors Victor, but to force out the demigod or the sealed artifact hidden inside the ship. A powerhouse or item at this level was scarce in the world. By seeing their appearance, he would know who they were sooner or later, as well as which organization they belonged to. He also has his ability. And this provided the subsequent direction for investigating regarding the Great Smog Backland. You know what would be crazy? Undulating. You know what would be crazy? If it's like some high sequence spectator and he just shot it with like a fucking like eerie piercing like he just shot the tsunami with a super strong air bullet and that dispelled it. Yeah, but it was just so loud it affected everybody on the ship. And this provided the subsequent direction for the investigation regarding the Great Smog Backland. I hope it's not from the sheer... I hope it's not from the sheer pathway. Otherwise, who knows if it's true, if it's his true face or not. However, this is also a good thing. Since I'm investigating the truth of the Great Smog, I'll figure out what Inzingwil is doing. And I'll make preparations for my subsequent revenge. I'll also be able to successfully find the bizarre sorcerer potion formula main ingredients. As Klein silently sighed, he made the gem on the tip of the sea god scepter emit a pure azure light. With a hum, the single-eyed skull's flight expressions changed. Undulating. Thank you. Sorry. Undulating. Klein silently sighed as he made the gem on the tip of the sea god scepter emit a pure azure light. With a hum, the single-eyed skull's flight experienced a change. It plummeted like a roar and didn't even manage to glide. Suddenly, it turned very, very light, landing on the sea surface like a feather caressing a human's face. At that moment, Klein, who had exhausted plenty of spirituality, was just about to muster his remaining strength to create another tsunami when he heard an explosive boom from the scene. It was a terrifying sonic boom. These are freaking air bullets. It was a terrifying sonic boom. These are fucking air cannons. Furthermore, it was different from normal sonic booms, as though it was mixed with the howling sounds of the wind. It was from Singon... Really? He's here? It was from Sea King John Coatman. Although he was still a distance away, he wielded and mastered these waters so he could exert his influence across the space while he rushed over. It's him? While he rushed over, this was a sequestry saint who was close to that of an angel. The terrifying sonic boom sent the single-eyed skull flying out. There was no hesitation on whether it would harm anyone. After all, there was nothing wrong with striking down on pirates. Meanwhile, Klein had felt a psyche that was so potent and terrifying that it... You know what? I'm gonna loop this song. We're gonna loop it. The terrifying sonic boom sent a single-eyed skull flying out. There was no hesitation on whether it would harm anyone. After all, there was nothing wrong with striking down on pirates. Meanwhile, Klein felt a psyche that was so potent it was terrifying as it swept across the area in search of another spot appeared abnormal. It caused the scene before his eyes to affect as everything turned indistinct. After resisting another blast, Klein calmly and rationally ended the response. He shut down the corresponding prayer scene before throwing the Sea God Scepter into the junk pile. The gap isn't anything trivial. If Sea King didn't appear, I wouldn't have the confidence in forcing out that demigod. My sequence is still too low. You kind of feel dizzy? I feel dizzy sometimes when I'm reading for a while. It gets to me too. My sequence is still too low, giving me troublesome when using the scepter, and it's overly burdensome. However, at sea, the storm pathway is really powerful. They're practically mobile calamities. The powers displayed by the demigod had the key elements of distortion, confusion, loaning, and violation of normality. It appears to be the Black Emperor pass of the divine. Otherwise, others might not realize it, but I have the corresponding cards of the blasphemy. It definitely isn't only Sequence 5 mentor of... I'm gonna lower it down a smidge. I'm gonna lower the music down a smidge. The powers displayed by that demigod had the key elements of distortion, confusion, loaning, and violation. Loaning and violation of normality? It appears to be the Black Emperor pass of the divine. Really? For Black Emperor? Others might not realize it, but I have the corresponding card of blasphemy. It definitely isn't only Sequence 5 mentor of disorder and Earl of the Fallen. The military has a portion of the potion formula from the Black Emperor pathway, but it seems to be limited to 5 sequences. They lack sequence 4 and above. Your guess was wrong. It was clearly wrong. How the f did Wiz figure that out? What was the hint that made him say, Black Emperor pathway? Like, how did he figure that out? They lack sequence 4 and above. Although Klein failed to force the demigod or corresponding sealed artifacts out, he had gained a certain number of clues from their reaction. He suspected that a particular faction in the royal family wasn't only cooperating with the demonist sect and instant will, but it was also a secret in cahoots with a faction that wielded most of the sequences of the Black Emperor pathway. Yeah, like, what was his thought process? That, like, Black Emperor. And he got it right. The Descendant of the Solomon Return set is the king of the Five Seas Nast involved in this. Klein was in serious thoughts when he heard overlapping prayers in his ears. He was deflecting the attacks, and now that I think about it, yo, you gotta eat more, Moon. That sounds scary. Hold up. We need some protein, man. It broke his train of thought, and he instinctively emanated his spirituality and touched a rippling light beside his chair. Then he saw the Danitz. The Danitz? Where did he come from? This well-known pirate had his eyes closed as he piously prayed to the fool. Oh, he's praying to the fool? Klein took out his pocket watch, and something's happening to Edwina. Klein took out his pocket watch in a daze and took a few looks at times to confirm that it was almost 3 in the morning. Is he nuts? Why is he praying in the middle of the night? Does he not want me to sleep? Klein watched carefully in exasperated amusement and discovered that the Danitz looked tipsy. There was an even faint singing echoing outside. The crew's members of the Golden Dream has arrived. Another bonfire party as they celebrated the department of the German Sparrow. To think they celebrated all the way into the middle of the night, Klein instantly understood why Danitz was praying at that moment. He took a deep breath as he emanated his will into the halo, saying in a deep voice, "Those who say my name are on my mind." See, King John Coltman arrived at Simine Island as he began searching for abnormal tsunamis that had happened here, as well as the ship that belonged to an unknown pirate crew. He was certain that there was a demigod on board that ship. This tall and brawny cardinal of the Church of Storms, with his thick dark blue hair, a high-ranking deckhand of the Mandated Punishers, clenched his fist as the dark clouds in the sky cracked open, sending crimson sunlight scattering across the seas. After identifying the positions of the stars, John Coltman flew in a particular direction. Suddenly, his speed slowed down because he saw a pirate ship with a flag floating with a single-eyed skull emblem. The ship wasn't manned by anyone as it drifted in the wind. Scarlet flames were everywhere on it, along with charred corpses. In the middle of one of the masts, a middle-aged man was tied to it. He wore a triangular hat and in the middle of one of the masts, a middle-aged man was tied up. He wore a triangular hat and a black eye patch. His exposed eyes was widened and filled with horror. A wooden pole had implanted him at his chest as blood dyed everything. His life and spirit body had completely dissipated. What the fuck just happened? All right, before we read 712, he's distorting the path of lightning like how Mither King distorted the path of Klein's bullet. Oh, I would not be able to remember that. When Klein shot, he was distorting the bullet from hitting him. Turn set equals run cest, or however you want, just not whatever you default to. Easy. Are you going to finish volume 3 today? I'm finishing it today-ish. Plus minus 3 days. Plus minus the weekend. What? Next chapter, chapter 712. After struggling to say what word? Trensost. Situated beyond the storm, the Golden Dream had crimson red moonlight shine through the thin clouds and onto its room, which was dark and unlit. So everybody's already dead. Danitz was standing beside his bed, motionless. Oh, now we're with Danitz. Danitz was standing beside his bed, motionless, as though he had encountered the beyonder powers that resembled Medusa's petrifying gaze. He couldn't help. No, I remember. So yeah, when Sea Kong Jung Coltman, wow, when the Sea King came up, everybody was already dead. Yeah, and he was like already impaled and like dead. Danitz was petrified. Medusa's petrified gaze. He couldn't help but grind his teeth loudly as his feet indiscriminately trembled. An endless grayish white fog and an indistinct figure that stood high above everything, saying an awe-inspiring word. "Those who say my name are on my mind," filled his mind. There really was a response. Danitz's lips quivered as he muttered silently to himself. He felt that his calves had gone soft. This was the first time he had received a response from a prayer. He was frightened out of its wits. He long knew that the fool was an unknown existence, the figure whom secret organization backing German Sparrow believed in, and that he had already made a connection due to the chanting his honorific name. If he had any actions of disloyalty or betrayal, he would immediately die out of a baffling death. But this knowledge stemmed from the knowledge of Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina had taught him. He had never encountered similar situations before, and he had never imagined that an unknown existence would respond to him. When the fog figure and voices suddenly appeared before his eyes and ears, he learned for the first time that the mighty existence wouldn't directly respond to his believers. Yes, deep down, Danitz had unknowingly changed the unknown existence into a mighty existence. Oh, so it was then. Now Danitz. The crazy POV changed, right? Just as he recovered from his shock, he hurriedly took a few steps pressed as he attempted to pace about to relieve the remnant horrors in his heart. However, just as he took a stride with his right foot, he discovered that his legs had gone limp. All he could do was collapse onto his bed before barely managing to turn around to sit up. It really is a magnificent existence. It really is. Danitz muttered softly as he came to a clear realization that he had involved himself in something serious. Back in the book world, as he had only chanted an honorific name without discovering any abnormalities, all he felt was fear of having known the possible outcomes. Now he was facing a hidden danger that finally outlined itself, as well as a future he couldn't see clearly. How could he not plague into an indescribable pit of extreme fear? It might not be a bad thing. At the very least, German Spur is still living, and he still leads quite a good life. Up upon having this thought, he forced a smile. I'm a member of the secret organization, and in the future a person blessed by a magnificent existence. As his thoughts raced, Danitz decided to pray every morning when he woke up. He believed that this existence would dislike a pious believer. He believed that no existence would dislike a pious believer. Of course, he would keep in mind the revelation and often pray inwardly. The next morning, Klein woke up normally, having exhausted himself. He actually made him a believer. Having exhausted himself the previous night, he slowly got out of bed and saw that the skies were blue and the ground outside was wet. The entire world seemed to be cleansed by water, making it abnormally fresh. However, the distorted leaves, broken branches, and all sorts of trash were an indication that it wasn't a peaceful night. After washing up, Klein wore an ordinary low in his face, ordered a cup of gurney sap, something that originated from the Semine Island, and a rather heavy choice for breakfast. Tea time to make up for his previous nights extended as dark as he drank the beverage that resembled lemonade with sugar and milk. He ate the fresh, fragrant meal that mixed mutton and his fish together along with the sweet and slightly sour flavor of the fruit. Klein held the newspapers provided by the inn with great pleasure as he read through the paper, staring with the Sonia Morning Post and news reports. At the end of breakfast, he flipped open the strange cases, the paper that was rather popular among adventurers, and he saw a striking article headline, Bloody and Fighting Amidst Storms. According to the source, there was an intense infighting on crazy Captain Connor's Victor's single-eyed skull. The pirates executed crazy Captain and killed each other. Reports say that no one survived. All of them are dead. All of this evil was concealed by the terrifying storm last night. No one was aware of the conflict until Single-Eyed Skull was found drifting around Semine Harbor. This article attached an unclear photo seemingly captured from the harbor in secret. The photo's Single-Eyed Skull's characteristics stood out at once. It was heavily damaged and many spots were charred black. On a single mast remained intact, while the middle of the mast had a huge figure with a triangular hat pinned to it. It's Connor's Victor. He died just like that. Klein's pupils constricted as he seriously contemplated. It can almost be confirmed that there was a demigod on that ship last night. When he saw that a crazy captain was targeted or was seeking in pursuit, he could only care for himself. Unable to bring Connors with him, he decisively silenced him and destroyed all evidence. Klein, who had plans on continuing his pursuit of the crazy captain, felt dejected, and now he's gone. He's like, all right, next target. He realized that although the trail of clues hadn't been completely cut off, there was a little of it left. The only matter he was aware of at that moment was that the demigod likely belonged to the Black Emperor pathway. From the intensity of the storm last night, the Single-Eyed Skull was likely sent to the harbor by Sea King John Cotman so as to do an follow-up investigation. I wonder if they will have any additional findings. Yes, I can get Mr. Hangman to keep an eye out for the Church of Storms. There was no need to inform him since the Tyrant Gathering will be its afternoon. The world can directly commission him to do so. Klein quickly made up his mind before downing the rest of the gurney sap. Then he returned to his room and planned to retrieve the radio transceiver, which he placed above the gray fog and extended the period of time to contact the roads. He waited to see if he had any other clues regarding bizarre sorcerer's potion formula. Having left Ararvi East Sea, which was also where the Aurora Order demigod had previously targeted him, Klein now dared to use items with the gray fog's aura. However, he knew very well that he couldn't do it frequently, and each use couldn't be for too long. Otherwise, there was the possibility of the true creator detecting it. Due to this reason and his wariness against roads, he planned on doing whatever he could himself, and he would seek advice from others if possible. He only planned on playing the question and answer the game if he were out of options. And the Blue Avenger, which was docked at the Resistance... Oh, now we're with Alger? And the Blue Avenger, which was docked at the Resistance Private Harbor, Alger planned on getting one last resupply before he returned to Pazu Island. After instructing his crew which items to purchase, he changed into a local clothing and he went straight for Bam. After circling a few times, he came to the Cathedral Waves and planned on reporting to Diocese Bishop Chojo about recent developments. Although he was returning to Pazu Island and reporting his works to the upper echelons of the church, he knew very well who his inmate superior was. He knew that he needed to act appropriately and not make his superior believe that he was skipping the chain of command by directly establishing relationships with the upper echelons. Chojo remained hale and hearty as he was very pleased with Alger's proactive reporting. After he heard that, he said with a brisk tone, "There's no need to worry about it. It's just routine reporting. I've already informed His Eminence Coatman that you've devoted the Lord and are loyal to the church. You're one of the most trusted captains, and His Eminence Coatman will inform the Council of Cardinals of this." He paused, but without giving Alger any time to speak, he continued, "In addition, there's another mission. Investigate people who are intimately tied to crazy Captain Connor's victors. This is a mission directly issued by His Eminence Coatman. You have to take it seriously. Investigate people related to the crazy captain." Alger was puzzled, but he didn't question it. Instead, he struck his right fist on his left breast and said, "Yes, Your Excellency." The grizzled Chojo nodded and thought for 2 seconds before asking, "Do you know German Sparrow?" The question sounded like a bolt out of the blue. It left Alger's pupils constricting and he nearly lost control on the spot. Thankfully, he was mentally strong and allowing him to barely maintain his normal state. You know, it'd be crazy if I wasn't recording. Yeah, we are recording. Okay, whew. Oh, look, our new fan art popped up. Staring in his heart, Chojo made a tearful acknowledgement. "You're at sea, so you're a little behind on the news. German Sparrow killed Kirchis at Toskarder last week and obtained his bounty." Huh? He's a pirate. He obtained his bounty? Heh. That pirate was indeed a devil, a Sequence 5 devil. Kirchis, like Agalito's second mate? Alger asked with very honest emotions. He knew that Kirchis was suspected to be a Sequence 5, but he didn't know that he was of the devil pathway. And the fact that he was above a Sequence 5 and a devil meant plenty of things. It meant that he was difficult to kill, which meant that German Sparrow had very likely killed Kirchis during a sudden encounter. This meant that German Sparrow was already at the pinnacle of his Sequence 5s. He's hyping him up, dude. Now that's a loyal fan right there. That is Mr. Loyal Alger. If it wasn't because he was seeking to purchase a Sequence 4 potion formula, I might have even suspected that he'd become a demigod. Alger thought, feeling perturbed. He was alarmed to realize that in the week the world had obtained the Sequence 5 Ocean Songster potion formula and main ingredients, killed a Sequence 5 devil, and might very possibly have a Sequence 6 notary potion formula in hand as well. How did he do it? Alger realized that he was feeling a little frightened of the world. He's like, damn, like, oh, now the fool won't love me as much as the world, right? That's what he's gonna say. Of course, it wasn't something unacceptable for him. This was because he knew that the world was Mr. Fool's blessed representative, and Mr. World's blessed clearly wasn't a single person. If one was responsible for the notary potion formula, while another was responsible for the ocean songster, then it was possible that German Sparrow had only killed Kirchis. Although this similarly left one apprehensive, it didn't seem like a fabricated story. Chojo nodded solemnly. Yes, Agalito's lack of reactions implies something. Focus on gathering information about German Sparrow. All right, Your Excellency. Alger bowed reverently, having already decided to be perfunctory with the mission as much as he could. Inside the inn, Klein placed a radio transceiver on the table. Before long, rushing, clacking sounds were heard. Oh, it's a Rhodes! All right, now we're going to be with a Rhodes. But chapter 713 is called 3 Questions. Amidst the clacking sounds, radio transceiver spewed out of the illusionary paper. On the paper were words composed of low and S. Great Master, your loyal and hopeful servant, a Rhodes, has finally caught up to you. There's no need to be so excited. Oh, the way a Rhodes speak is as professional as always. He didn't express his bitterness about not being able to contact me for the prolonged periods of time. Nor did he question me about why I haven't been looking for it. Ed directly blamed himself for claiming that it hadn't caught up to me. It makes me feel a little guilty, but I still need to be wary. Klein was momentarily at a loss for an answer. Rhodes didn't wait, as it used radio transceiver to produce an emoticon of carefully peeking out of the illusionary paper. Great Master, the ruler above the spirit world, your servant has sensed that you are one step closer to returning to your holy throne. Am I right? What? This fellow has evolved really quickly. He's already using colored text to form a nascent form of emotions. From a Rhodes point of view, I'm a true god taking steps to find myself. That's why, although it can clearly sense that I'm only a Sequence 5, it still treats me with respect and is even more humble. Klein understood that this mayor was deliberately asking questions, so he nodded in a frank manner. I'm gonna lower the volume. Yes, you have already answered my question. As an exchange and rule that I need to overlook, you can raise a question to me. A Rhodes typed quickly in response before adding a smile. The good Rhodes. Klein didn't hesitate as he asked, where can the potion formula for Bizarro Sorcerer be found? Hornicus. Mountain range. The illusionary paper spat out a long paragraph of complicated symbols before turning into a mirror as it represented a realistic scene. This chapter has a lot of lore. Okay, I'm gonna take it slow. It was a dark cathedral. Hornicus Flicker. Hornicus mountain range. I already know what this is. Dark cathedral with a throne covered in maggot. All right, hold up. Here we go. I'm gonna read this slow. All right, I'm gonna read carefully. We're gonna be nice, calm. We're not gonna speed read this. We're not gonna read just to read. We're gonna read and digest. It was a dark... It has to be the Hornicus mountain range. Cathedral. We'll find out. It was a dark cathedral without any natural light source. Inside it was a bunch of squirming things that were also blurring, translucent worms. It looked as though it was a pencil drawing that has been wiped by an eraser. Ooh. Wiped by an eraser? Didn't the angel erase people in Volume 2? Preventing any exact details to be seen. However, Erodes added a bunch of text at the bottom of the scene. This is Zaratul. In his advancement to Sequence 1, attendant... Sequence 1 is attendant of mysteries? This is Zaratul. In his advancement to Sequence 1, attendant of mysteries. Oh my god. Sequence 0 is called Lord of fucking Mysteries. Holy fucking shit, dude. Sequence 1 is called... Sequence 0 is called Lord of Mysteries. What the fuck? Holy shit. Like, after you've been an attendant, what's next? You're you're an attendant of what? You're an attendant of your lord. Oh, what the fuck, dude? That is so sick. It's gonna be so fucking cool. Oh my god. Okay, wait. Sequence 1, attendant of mysteries. Holy fucking shit, he lost control. He lost control and became a monster because he gave in to his mythical form and became a monster. However, great master, you have to be careful. He is a very... Oh my god, he's the one giving him all the fucking mad ravings. Zaratul literally is the one saying Hornicus Flagera. He is a very crafty person. Perhaps everything about him is just an act with a purpose. I'm unable to... How would you even act as an attendant of mysteries? Maybe losing control is part of the act? Because then that's very mysterious. I'm unable to look at him directly, as it will bring me harm. Aside from him, you will be unable to obtain the portion formula from any demigod from the secret order. That is because back then Zaratul will directly provide high sequence potion formulas, and there's almost no ways to use any beyonder methods to reverse divine it. What a detailed answer. So you can't go through the secret order. So we have to go to the Hornicus mountain range. What a detailed answer, and it even gave me the additional knowledge that the Sequence 1 corresponds to the seer pathway is attendant of mysteries. Does it mean that being an angel that serves upon mystery? Does it mean being an angel that serves upon mystery? Holy shit, man. Oh my god. From the looks of it, the secret order, very mysterious, right? If it's the secret order, very secret, very mysterious. Okay. Approaches can only work by directly facing Zaratul to obtain the potion formula, and not even capable of viewing him directly. It's no wonder the Snake of Fate, Will Ossipin, told me to find the crazy Zaratul without mentioning the secret order. Clang was moved by Rhodes' attitude. If he didn't feel that he lacked the level of strength to commandeer this sealed artifact, he even planned on truly treating it as a servant. Amidst the clear clicking sounds, another segment of illusionary pieces of paper appeared, presenting another scene. It was a towering mountain peak. Holy fucking shit. Hornicus mountain range. Okay. It was a towering mountain peak. On it was a swath of dilapidated palaces. Inside it was a gigantic stone chair. Oh my god, volume 1. Clang was very familiar with the scene. Without a Rhodes footnotes, he knew what it represented. The Antigonus family's treasure hidden at the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range. Oh, volume 4 is going to be so crazy. Oh, volume 4 is going to be so good, dude. White paper continued being spat out as the new scenes was presented, just like a movie. It has changed into the camera angle. The first scene that appeared in Klein's eyes was a lofty Gothic-style bell tower and beautiful palaces around it. The former represented the Bell of Order, and the latter represented the Della Palace. They were landmarks built in Backland. The scene changed as soon. There was a new building on the paper. It was a pure black cathedral with 2 symmetrical bell towers. The scene of the cathedral's interior grew longer as soon as it presented the entirety of the interior. It was then fixed at a pair of iron black doors that swung open. The door was abnormally heavy, and on it were 7 dark separate. The door was abnormally heavy, and on it were 7 dark sacred emblems. Maybe. I don't know how crazy it'll get. It's gonna get crazier. The 7 dark sacred emblems could represent the Orthodox gods going mad and giving into their mythical forms and losing control. Or maybe there's like 7. All right, hold up. As though they were the guards of the Tenebros heavens. Chana's Gate, St. Samuel Cathedral. Klein recognized the familiarity style door. I'm sorry, Chana's Gate? Based on the architectural style, he confirmed that the cathedral was a Church of the Evernight Goddess headquarters, okay, and of the Backland Diocese St. Samuel Cathedral. Holy shit, we're going back to volume 1. White paper was spat out and the scene changed as it plunged deep into the darkness. On an empty bookshelf built from the bones, there sat an ancient notebook. It was a black hard-covered book. Klein recognized the notebook at once. The Antigonus book? Klein silently observed for a moment, and after the scene... Wait, I skipped a line. It was the Antigonus family notebook which had caused the death of the original client. Oh my god. Angels can control, easy geeky, angels can control when they turn into their mythical forms. Wait, what do you mean angels can control what? Wait, they can control what? I don't think the original client is dead, man. I think he's still alive. I think the original client is still alive in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, even though he physically died, things are coming full circle. The circle on inevitability. I understood that reference. Full circle. COI. Circle of inevitability. Okay. Oh, wait. It literally fucking says right here. After going round and round, everything came back full circle. Wait. I'll read all your guys' messages after. Hold up. This is kind of... It was said that angels actively keep their normal form so they can transform at will. I don't remember that. They transform at will. Okay. Oh my god, this series is getting complicated. I need to keep up with my notes, man. I'm gonna start forgetting shit. Oh my god, I already know it. Klein silently observed it for a moment, and after the scenes disappeared, did he regain control of his thoughts process? Yes, back then, the members of the Aurora Order were able to see the clown potion formula from the notebook. Having been acknowledged by Ed, the content presented to them will definitely be completely different from before when I flipped through it. It should have the bizarre sorcerer potion formula. It just lacks the ingredients or characteristics. So this notebook has been sealed behind St. Samuel Cathedral. I'm sorry, are we going to do like an infiltration and go inside Chana's Gate? Samuel Cathedral's Chana's Gate all the time. To get it from there, the difficulty in doing so wouldn't be lowering than finding Zartul and facing him directly. Back then, there were high sequence beyonders involved in the Great Smog of Backland. After reporting the matter to Backland Diocese Church through misjustice, the matter was quickly quelled. This is sufficient enough to prove that Backland Diocese has plenty of powers. They have no lack of demigods or sealed artifacts. Bizarro. Yes, regardless, I'll need to return to Backland first and see if there are any opportunities. In contrast, I prefer to not head to the Hornicus mountain range. What? Reining in his thoughts, Klein looked at the... So he's going to go to Chana's Gate? Reining in his thoughts, Klein looked at the radio transceiver, which had turned dark and solemn. Last night, who was the demigod on the crazy Captain Connor's Victor ship? Clacking sounds quickly sounded as the illusory paper... Oh my... Let me continue from right here because I accidentally paused it. Sequence Beyonders and the... I read this. Last night, who was the demigod on the crazy Captain Connor Victor ship? Clacking sounds quickly sounded as the illusioning papers from before vanished as new ones were spat out. The content of the piece of paper was likewise a realistic scene. On an exquisite brass chandelier, 5 candles of different heights spread their warmth and light. A middle-aged man wearing a triangular hat and black eye patch stood before a cabinet that stored grape liquor, champagne, and tequila. He was humbly looking opposite him. Opposite him was a tall figure in a black cloak. Its face was completely hidden beneath the hood. The figure didn't seem to have a real head, only a blob of heavily distorted darkness that was embedded above the neck. Thanks to the portraits from Bounty Notices, Klein recognized the one-eyed man from the crazy Captain's Connors. His disheveled and oily hair cascaded down and happened to cover his neck. Opposite him is likely that demigod, but he deliberately disguised himself and did the corresponding anti-divination preparations. For Rhodes to be able to produce a scene of this level is already impressive enough. Klein wasn't too disappointed. Instead, he carefully memorized the figure's build. More than 1.85 meters tall, but less than 1.9 meters tall. Rather long arms, and when hanging his hands down, it almost reaches his knees. The broad shoulders prop up cloak. The feet are face outwards to a certain degree. As an expert in disguise, Klein believed that when a person disguised himself and prepared a certain level of anti-divination measures, there's a high chance that he wouldn't take note of disguising his build, especially when one's body didn't have any particular traits. Therefore, this can provide a certain amount of clues. This allows Klein to find the person familiar when he sees the target. Very good. It's your turn to ask. After keeping that in mind, Klein stopped scrutinizing the figure as he waited for Rhodes' question with piqued interest. He was curious as to how Rhodes would continue breaking through his image of him. The typing sound slowed down as it seemed to appear hesitant. Bit by bit, the illusioning white paper spat out. Great master, can I say something to you? Of course. Yes. Oh, wow, that was his question. Yes, Klein answered the question puzzled. He began to look forward to what a Rhodes... Why does he sound scared? To what a Rhodes had to say. The sound of typing hasn't hastened as it exuded an obvious sense of warmth. On the illusioning paper, a single line appeared. Great master, happy birthday. Oh. This is belated. Your current body was born on March 4th. Oh! That's why trailer 3 came out 3 months ago. It was on his birthday. This is belated. Your current body was born March 4th, 1327. I originally wanted to wish you a happy birthday at midnight of that day, but I failed to keep up with you. It's a topic that's really exceeded my expectations. I even forgot about my own birthday. The corners of Klein's lips twitched as he was at a loss for words. He had received the original Klein's memories and fragments and received parts of his emotions. He knew the birthday, but a far person who led a solitary life would remember such things. This fellow is actually the first person to wish me a happy birthday. Benson Missa must be feeling more upset today. This interview should have ended in February. I wonder if Benson succeeded in becoming a civil servant. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Klein felt pungent as the way he looked at the radio transceiver warmed up. Damn it. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. He thought for a moment as he calmed asked. Third question. Your origins. Ooh, that's a deep question. The typing sound paused for 2 seconds before sounding out again. A white piece of paper was spat out with a new scene surface. Large amounts of black, sticky liquid spewed. Ah, that's gross. Black, sticky liquid spewed out from the ground as they spread outwards in a distorted manner. They grow different numbers of arms and legs before becoming strange monsters that charged ahead. During this process, a speck of light was shot out along with black liquid before landing on a rock, to which it rapidly fused together, turning into a mirror with ancient patterns and black gems eroding its two sides. What kind of strange scene is this? This was how Rhodes was born? Let me reread this again. Do you understand why I say Rhodes is the fool's #1 believer now? Wait, let me reread this first. Yeah, but I get why you guys say he's his first one. He's such a huge fan. So large amounts of black sticky liquid spewed out from the ground as he sprayed outwards and distorted. Oh my god, it's crude oil. Is it oil? Large amounts of black sticky liquid spewed out from the ground as they spread outwards in a distorted manner. No, wait. They grew different numbers of arms and legs before becoming strange monsters that charged ahead. During this process, a speck of light shot out along the black liquid before landing on a rock, which it rapidly fused together, turning into a mirror with ancient patterns and black gems surrounding its two sides. What kind of strange scene is this? This was how Rhodes was born. What was that speck of light? Oh, he's one of the 7 pure lights. What was that speck of light? Where did it originate from? It does seem like a Beyonder characteristic. It's either a speck of light or I guess just a Beyonder characteristic with living traits. Klein came up with a preliminary interpretation of the scene. The typing sounds didn't stop at another line appeared. Great master, do you have any other questions? Taking note of the time, Klein shook his head. No. You have finished answering the questions and it's time for me to leave. Great master, the ruler above the spirit world, your loyal and humble servant Rhodes looks forward to serving you again and hopes to be able to continue following in your footsteps by. At the end of the illusory piece of paper, a hand waving in motion was presented. Did someone say oil? All right, let's do timestamps. All right, we're gonna keep this update for next stream. I had a lot of fun today. We are getting closer and closer to the true mystery of Lord of the Mysteries. We are getting one step closer to finding the origins of the mysteries. We now know Sequence 1 of the Seer Pathway is, oh my god, like the fact that it has mystery in the title. Attendant of Mysteries, right? Attendant of Mysteries. What do you think the main focus of the series? It's like, now I don't know. With the reveal that Sequence 1, what do you think the main focus of the Seer Pathway is now? And what does that mean for the future abilities of the Pathway? I guess that's why all his abilities are so mysterious, right? Or like how they don't like all I guess that makes sense. It's mysterious. Not sure if sequence 3 is yet. Oh, wait, hold up. I don't know 3. So, yeah, we don't know 3. We know 4. We don't know 3. We don't know 0. So, the only thing we don't know now is sequence 4 and sequence 0. We now know sequence 4, Bizarro Adventurer. We don't know 3. We know sequence 2 is called Miracle Invoker. Sequence 1 is called Attendant of Mysteries. So, sequence 0 is actually fucking Lord of Mysteries. Sorcerer, Bizarro, did I say Bizarro Adventurer? I'm sorry, I was thinking of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. My bad. Sorcerer, not Adventure. My bad. Yeah. Bizarro I said it again. Bizarro Sorcerer. Sequence 4 is called Bizarro Sorcerer. Oh my goodness, I keep thinking of JoJo. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we don't know what sequence 3. 2 is Miracle Invokers. 1 is called Attendant Cook. 1 is called Adventurer. Oh my god. I'm fucking going crazy right now. Oh my god. Attendant of Mysteries. Sequence 0 is actually called Lord of Mysteries. Sequence 3 of the Seer is my fave, not gonna lie. Okay, wait, don't say what it is. Alright, I can see everyone being their fave. No, it's not a spoiler. He's just excited. No, it's okay. That wasn't a spoiler. It's right. Everybody can say like, oh, this is my favorite volume, right? And then somebody else can say, oh, like, oh, that's not my favorite volume. Like, or like, that's my favorite pathway. That's not my favorite pathway. No, it's okay. It's not a spoiler. It's like, this series is literally called right here. Holy fucking shit. Klein. Oh my god. Wait, I'm looking too much into the cover. I'm like, why is it a throne? Like, is that the Hornicus? No, that's the throne above the Great Fog. That's where he's sitting. What's behind him? Why is it red? Now that's what I want to know. Lord of Mysteries, sequence 0. It's literally been in our fucking face this whole time. It's in our face. It's in our face. Like, Klein is literally gonna become the Lord of Mysteries, and then he's gonna sit on this very fucking throne. It's gonna be like that Elden Ring ending, when you become the Elden Lord, and just sit down on the throne. That's gonna be Klein. When Klein hits like sequence 0, Lord of the Mysteries, he's gonna sit on his throne, and then it just ends. Right back at you, dude. Bro, it is so good. So we clearly didn't finish volume 3 today, but we are getting closer. I'm gonna have 2. I can potentially I'm gonna potentially have 2 announced streams today and tomorrow morning. I can stream tomorrow, Saturday. So what I am gonna try and do, if I can, I'm gonna wake up super fucking early, stream for like maybe 2 hours max, get a little bit closer to 7:25. We are almost halfway. Wait, no, we are halfway. Oh my god, we passed the fucking halfway point. You know what's my progress bar? I haven't looked at my progress bar since like we hit like 39%. My progress bar says 59.96% done. That is fucking hype. Holy shit, dude. Bizarro sounds more mysterious. It sounds very mysterious indeed. No, 716 as the halfway. Bro, what? Well, at least for me, right here it says I'm 51.96 done with the series. So I don't know if this thing includes extra side content or whatever, but at least that's what it says for me. Yeah, dude. I'm so hyped, man. I'm so fucking pumped. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Have a beautiful day. There are 41 of you guys here. It does not count the side story. Okay, so maybe minus the side stories, it's like less. And that's why it says I'm 51.96% done. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can have this as a progress bar on stream. I think that'd be cool. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you go. You guys have a beautiful day. And I'm gonna see you guys all very soon, okay? Mwah! Have an amazing Friday, Saturday. We watching the anime in Portuguese? Bro, I'm watching all the dubs. Wait, hold up. I'm watching all the dubs. I think, to be safe, I'm thinking of watching it in English. Because, like, Backland is, like, very Eastern European. I think it'd be cool if we watch it in English. I don't know. And I feel weird because I usually watch everything in its original language. Like if it's originally Japanese, if it's originally Japanese, I'll watch in Japanese. If it's originally Chinese, I'll watch in Chinese, Korean, like Russian. Like I always watch it in its original language. But I'm scared about like the whole, like I'm scared if it's in Chinese it gets flagged. Because you guys were talking about that for 2B Hero X. Like, some big YouTubers, they weren't really able to do it in that because then they'd get flagged. So, I don't know if I just go English. We'll see. The spirit world will guide you. Yes, I will do a coin flip divination. And whatever it lands on, that is the language we will first watch it. English, so you can focus on the visuals more. I think so. Maybe. I think that could work. Thank you, Soul. Maybe we'll do that. All right, guys. You guys have a beautiful day. Moi, and I'm going to see you guys all very soon. Fucking one more week, man, until the Donko drops. Trust your spiritual intuition. I will trust my spiritual intuition. My God, I can't fucking speak. I will let my spirit threads guide me. Hell yeah. You guys understand the reference? All right, guys. Have a beautiful day. Later, guys. Oh, and then just so you guys can know, look at our new loading screen. Isn't that cool? All right, guys. I'm going to let you go, okay? You guys have an amazing day. Later, guys.